Ark Supreme, a reimagined overhaul mod brought over from Ark Survival Evolved all the way to Ark Survival Ascended, with brand new creatures that we have never witnessed or seen before in this game, and extreme bosses that we must challenge and defeat. I have 100 days to beat this entire mod. Can we do it? Let's find out. Welcome homies and homettes to another Ark modded adventure. We are playing on my favorite map of all time, Ragnarok. As we awake naked and afraid, rubbing our wrist, we begin this journey. Of course, with a standard start like picking up some stones along the beach, fisting some trees just like a Thailand Muay Thai fighter, and investigating the weird and wonderful new creatures of this mod. Oh, what is that? Hello, little... Ah! Elite murder turkey, is it? Alright, welcome to Supreme, I guess. God damn it. When we awoke from our next death, we saw this cute, massive Jerboa. Hello, Jerboa. Are you friendly? You look friendly. Can we be friends? Oh, well that was rude. I did indeed get pooped on by a Jerboa. It was gross. Anyways, moving on, we then ran into another player.
Yo, what's up?
This is Pineapples, one of my subscribers and one of my Discord moderators. When I'm recording most of my 100 days, I do play on a private server that I host. If you'd like to join that server, just join my Discord for more details. One thing I like to do at the start of most of my new modded playthroughs is check the engram list to see what we can kind of unlock in all these new mods. And so far there seems to be a few little things that we can unlock. You see, one of the great things about Ragnarok is we can break these boxes right here and get some really valuable loot, like crossbows, spears, swords, and even a metal hatchet. All of this stuff would have taken us ages to be able to farm up and get ourselves, but for now, we have it. I don't think it's going to help us too much with these sounds though. Those are some horrifying sounds, especially on day one of this 100 days. But of course, it's me being me, and I had to go investigate. Look, I know this is stupid, but I'm hella curious. You could barely make out what was happening behind all of these explosions. But if you look carefully, it's an overgrown Triceratops. And I want to tame me one of them before the end of this 100 days. Of course, I got a little bit curious. I wanted to see if I can go and touch it. Leroy Jenkins! Oh, I'm going to die hitting the ground, bro. I didn't even... Yeah, that was a pretty pathetic death. It's okay, though, because I could just try again. Spectral Warden Trike. Okay, all the shenanigans out of the way, it's probably a good idea to start getting started seriously in this playthrough. We'd also leveled up quite a bit so we could unlock a whole bunch of new engrams, and there's a lot to discover. But sometimes you have to watch out for some of the biggest, scariest dangers in this mod. Dodos. Ah, dodged her. Dodged her. These deaths have been quite pathetic, but we push on. Get some easy cheesy tools from these crates, run into pineapples, trying to survive, create a brand new tribe called Dodo Gang. Duh, best tribe in all of Ark. Attempt to make an alliance, but realize that we have the settings turned off and we'll fix it up later. And finally, hit some more crates, because I need some more arrows. They give us free arrows, it's good. Day 2 began by us placing down a little starter base, just a little simple 3x3. With stations down, I need to go out and try and kill something so I can get some hide, so I can make a forge, and continue the process of setting up. Are you a player? Pineapples. Yes, we just saw pineapples, and then I heard this noise. Stop hitting me! My mans was throwing spears into me. But this kind of looks cool. Ah! Anyways, even after these shenanigans, I got jump scared by this dodo, which ended up being perfect because I could kill it and harvest its skin. We then chased down this moss chop so we could kill it for some more hide, but it was getting killed by a drakeling. As I started making my way back to base, I saw this seeker, and then I got chased by a murder turkey. This is when I realized just foundations around our base wasn't gonna work. I need some extra protection to try and keep these little pests out. Now, because it's the early game, I quickly ran out of resources to complete this roof, but it's covering our bed, so we should be fine for now. I hope. I was also feeling rather chilly, so I had to put down this campfire. Oh, and hungry too. Food is good. I also now have enough resources to craft up the Supreme Forge. What is the Supreme Forge and why is it different? Well, it's purple. No, not really. Not only does it craft up metal ingots faster, it also crafts up the modded metal ingots as well. After placing down this storage box and filling it up, I realized that I probably am making the wrong decision. I remember that Supreme has its very own rafts, and I think I want to create a raft base. But of course, it's quite expensive, so we need to try and get some resources together, specifically more hide. Now, I did manage to kill this berserk Jerboa, but it drops berserk hide, and I'm not actually too sure I can use this as normal hide, but we're gonna find out. The rest of the resources are rather quite simple to gather, just some wood, some fiber, the simple stuff. Day 3 and we gathered enough resources to craft up this raft. And what makes Supreme rafts different? Well, this one's massive. But of course, before we could launch, we need to set up some foundations on the boat and then kind of move our base over. Now, I've built a lot of rafts in my time, but since this is a lot bigger, it was a little bit trickier for me to figure out how to do it. But we managed to get our refining forge down and all of our stuff from our base, then destroy our base because that's good etiquette to do when you're on a server. Don't leave foundations around, let other people build. And we can use these pieces for our boat anyway. It's a little bit scuffed, but hey, we're on our way. I came over here so I could try and get my hands on some metal. Now, I don't know where any metal nodes are close, so I just started mining these river rocks. You can always get a little bit of metal just to start you off at least. It's not a crazy amount, but it should get us started. Once we cooked up some metal, we could then craft this, the Supreme Workbench. This is the key to this entire mod. Yes, I'll give it to the mod developer. This looks pretty damn dope. And creepy. I even want that flak helmet IRL. Anyways, with this workbench, I could then craft up this pickaxe. Each different pickaxe gives you a multiplier effect of everything that you can harvest. And with this pickaxe, we could go to these ruins, break down a couple rocks that are next to it, and gain access to be able to get this crystal, which we can then use for a spyglass and other various things. As I was traveling along the coastline, I came across this area and remembered that there's metal nodes here. And this is a great place to stock up on a bunch of metal. But not only is there a bunch of metal, but there's also a whole bunch of oil nodes that we can collect. Day 4, and we're still here on our trusty little raft, sailing along the open seas. Now, one thing that's bugged me is this sail. I don't like the look of it, so we got rid of it. That's much better. Anyway, we've been exploring the northern part of this map, and then we came across something pretty interesting. A cave, but not just any cave, a water cave. And honestly, it looks pretty awesome in here. Hidden away from everything, nice and tucked away from the outside world. Now, if you watched my last video, you'll know that overpowered dinos came in and absolutely destroyed everything that we had built. So this time we're doing things a little differently. No more leaving ourselves exposed. This cave is our new home and nothing is getting in here. I hope. Now, before we could start building, we obviously needed some resources, and thankfully, stone was absolutely everywhere. We could get our hands on wood quite easily since the redwoods were so nearby, which is a massive win for us. The only challenge though, the water in the cave is pretty deep, so we couldn't just slap some foundations down and call it a day. We had to build some pillars up from the bottom and lay our ceilings across the top, just so we could stay above the waterline. It's a bit of a process, but trust me, it's gonna be worth it. Now, while we're out gathering some resources, we did spot this wild bee hanging out. And look, I wasn't too sure about it. It could be powerful, it could be friendly. Honestly, I had no idea. But what I did know is that we do not need that kind of chaos right now. So we left it alone. Maybe another day, little guy. Maybe another day. Day 5 and we're back at it. The cave base is starting to come together, but it's still feeling a little bit empty in here. So it's time to start moving some of our crafting benches and our refining forge over from the raft. But having all of our gear set up properly in here is making this place actually feel like home now. We're slowly getting there. Now, with our base looking a little bit more sorted, it was time to think about hitting the skies, because let's be honest, getting a pteranodon changes everything in this game. So first we need to get ourselves a saddle ready for when that time comes. The only problem is, we needed hide and keratin. And just outside our cave, there happened to be a turtle sitting there minding its own business. Sorry, my guy, you're in the wrong place at the very wrong time. Now, I had my primitive crossbow on me and figured this wouldn't take very long. I was very wrong. This thing would not go down. It did try to fight back, but it was so slow I could just casually step out of the way every single time. But eventually, after what felt like way too long, we got there. Hide and keratin secured. Pteranodon saddle is now on the agenda. Oh, and one more thing. We also unlocked some modern narcotics today. These things are way more effective than your standard vanilla narcotics, which means we are almost ready to start taming some creatures that really get to work. Day 6, and it's now time that we try and hit the skies. We need to get ourselves a pteranodon, and we needed one now. So we headed out to go find ourselves one, and sure enough, we spotted one pretty quickly. I got my bowler out, launched it straight at it, and sent this thing straight into the water. Easy. Or so I thought. I went to go find it, and it was just gone. Nowhere to be seen. And look, I don't know if this is for certain, but I'm pretty sure a megalodon ate it. Our pteranodon, before we even got to tame it and become good friends, it's gone. Just like that. Cheers for that, Bruce. Stupid. Right, so moving on. We found ourselves another one sitting on this rock, and this time things went a little smoother. Got the bowler, knocked it out, fed it some meat, and waited for it to tame up. Beautiful. Now, I didn't have a saddle on me currently, so I popped it into a dino ball and took it straight back to base where we could craft one up. And just like that, we're finally ready to hit the skies. Now, as I was up flying around, I spotted my boat just sitting on an island close by. I thought about it for a second and thought that the boat was a much safer option for us right now. So back on the boat we went. Our next mission was to track down some silica pearls. so we can start crafting up some electronics and, enter the next age. We had to search around the waters nearby our base, but didn't have much luck at all. But I knew exactly where to go. Viking Bay. So we made our way over there, and sure enough, the perfect place that I'm quite familiar with, there were silica pearls abundantly everywhere. We grabbed as many as we could and headed back. Electronics are now very much on our cards. Day 7 and we're still out here on the boat. We were on our way back from Viking Bay, collecting some metal and grabbing some oil on the way. I mean, it's here, I might as well. Now I know farming resources isn't the most exciting thing to see, but we have to appreciate this map. It's absolutely gorgeous. The scenery out here is something else. Now along the way we spotted something that caught our eye. Another pteranodon, and this one was perfect. You see, we already had one pteranodon and we needed a mate for it. Of course, that's just how we have to play this out. But also, we need to start producing some eggs. We need dino eggs to make some kibbles. Specifically, we need some eggs to start crafting some modded kibble. We tamed it up on the spot, popped it in a dino ball, and took it straight back home. Simple as that. Egg layer acquired. Now I did try to get my hands on some dodos so we can get some eggs, but that wasn't really working out for us. It's okay though, we'll get some dodos later, I'm sure of it. Back at base, it was quite a productive one. We rearranged some of the crafting benches and extended out our ceilings to give ourselves some more room. The base is growing and it's starting to feel a lot more like a proper setup now. Then came the big one. We crafted ourselves a fabricator. And honestly, this thing sends us up to the next level entirely. With all those silica pearls that we grabbed earlier from Viking Bay, we could now craft up electronics. And finally, at the back of our cave, we had these pink mushroom flower looking things. Turns out, if you harvest them with a sickle, they drop organic polymer. So we crafted up one of these modded savage sickles, got in there and harvested a bunch of it. We're gonna need that polymer for a few more things that we've got planned down the line. Day 8 and things are starting to pick up now. First things first, we now have ourselves an SCS terminal. This is where we're gonna keep our dinos safe, and more importantly, this is where we're going to keep our pteranodons that will produce us eggs over time for our kibble situation. Speaking of kibble, we can now craft some savage kibble, which is the first tier of kibble we need to start taming some of these modded creatures. We're officially in business now, baby. Now, earlier on when we were killing some of these modded dinos, I'd been collecting their blood, and today we put that to good use. We crafted up some berserk narcotics, which we can turn into berserk trank arrows and savage trank arrows. These will make taming these modded creatures so much quicker and easier. So, with our brand new arrows ready to go, it's now time for us to tame our very first savage tier creature. And the first thing we came across was this bulb dog. Some people think it's ugly. I think it's pretty damn cute, honestly. And this thing is fast as heck. It absolutely flies around the map. It does swim a little bit slow though, but hey, we can't have everything, right? The reason I really want one of these is because the last time I played the Supreme mod, I heavily relied on these bulb dogs. They were a massive help. So I really wanted to get a breeding pair because being in the savage tier, there's a chance we might lose it. So I went out to go find a second one nearby, ran straight up to it and completely forgot if you approach these things from the wrong angle, they turn aggressive. It killed me. I did though try again and it killed me again. Alright, so moving on from that now, I jumped on my new bulb dog and went for a little exploration, which led us to a small cave in these waterfalls where we could grab some crystal. Then we ran into a bison, and I forgot one very important thing about bisons. They can kick you off your tame, which is exactly what happened. Kicked me straight off of my bulb dog and then murdered me. Come on, bulb dog, you got it. No, don't let him hit me. Fuck. Had to fly all the way back to find my bulb dog just waiting there patiently. Good boy. Now with a fresh approach and a little bit more patience, I snuck up behind the second bulb dog the right way this time and managed to passively tame it. Back to base, the breeding has begun. Now the next tame on our list was probably a pretty important one. The Triceratops. It wasn't alone out there, so I had to keep my distance and keep shooting. We did eventually get it a little bit drowsy, but before we fully knocked it out, I ran out of tranquilizers. I didn't have enough for me to finish the job, so it was back to base to craft up some more trank arrows. The trike is gonna have to wait until tomorrow. Day 9, and first things first. We needed more trank arrows. So that we can make some more narcotics, we needed more blood. So we went out and killed some quick and easy savage tier creatures. We're like the big bully in the high school. We like to bully these little weak creatures. And it was enough for us to be able to get enough blood so we can make some more narcotics. Back at base, we checked in with our bulb dogs and we saw that they were breeding together quite nicely. Now, I originally assumed that these guys were going to be egg layers, but turns out they're gestational, so no eggs. Tiny little bulb dog growing in that big belly. But then I noticed in our SCS terminal that we had a baby that was fully grown up, which was brilliant. Now we can travel around without the risk of losing it. Well, it could die, but we can replace it. That's good. Now it's time to go and track down that Triceratops once again. Only problem is, I think I completely lost it from yesterday. I couldn't find it anywhere. So we went out hunting for another one, and eventually came across this level 130 savage Triceratops. Now this one wasn't alone, so I wanted to kite it away from the other creatures around it and come out to a large open area where we could start the taming process. We began shooting it. Took a little bit of time, but we managed to put it to sleep, fed it the required kibble, and just like that, it was tamed. I placed it in a dino ball, and then I started running back to base when I was brutally murdered by a toxic bulb dog. But on the plus side, this was a fast way to get back to base, I guess. From here, I crafted up a savage trike saddle. Now, worth noting, modded creatures in Supreme sometimes have their own specific saddles. You can't just slap a regular vanilla saddle on them. Saddle on, trike ready, time to go gather some berries. And look, the trike is an incredible berry gatherer, but the area around our base is a little bit sparse on bushes. We picked what we could. However, we did discover that on the back of our cave has a decent amount of bushes there. It's not a massive amount, but it's definitely enough to keep us going for now. And then to finish off this day, we crafted up a behemoth gate and sealed off the entrance to our cave. Honestly, it felt like a massive moment. For the first time in this playthrough, everything outside can no longer just walk in and ruin our day. We also set up an electric generator and some lights because the big gate made everything pretty dark in here. But with everything lit up and sealed off, this cave base is really starting to feel a little something special now. Day 10 and we're back on the taming grind. We needed a mate for our Triceratops because as we all know in these crazy mods, everything wants to kill you. Backups are not optional, backups are survival. We headed out and found ourselves another savage Triceratops. Now once I had it knocked out, I actually left the render distance for a while. The idea being, if I'm not around, nothing should aggro onto it and kill it while it's sleeping. Once it was ready, I returned back to it, fully tamed it up, claimed it, popped it in a dino ball, and took it straight back to base. Breeding has now commenced. Later in the day, we managed to get one egg out of these two, which we placed straight into the SCS terminal to incubate. Then it was just a matter of waiting. Once the egg was finally ready to hatch, I placed it in front of the forge. I figured that that's probably the warmest spot in the entire base, and sure enough, it worked. A little baby savage Triceratops came out into the world right here in this cave. Now while we waited for this baby to grow up and for our breeding pair to cook up some more eggs, I found myself doing something I never expected to do in a 100 days Ark video. Just staring at the butts of these two Triceratops. Just standing there, waiting, watching. Two big prehistoric backsides just staring right back at me. This is the 100 days experience nobody talks about. Anyway, once our baby had grown up, we took it out for a little spin, and this is where we wanted to actually test its fighting capability. Because trikes in the early game aren't just berry gatherers. These things can actually fight, and fight they did. We went out and started picking on the local wildlife, and we absolutely handled business. It was glorious. This moment right here really feels like a turning point in this entire playthrough. We are no longer completely defenseless out here. Things are progressing nicely. Day 11, we headed over to our savage trike for a little bit of exploration. And a little bit of murder. You know, the usual. On the way back to base though, we stumbled across something that stopped us dead in our tracks. A dodo. But not just any dodo. This thing had miniguns on its hips and was wearing what I would only describe as the most terrifying dodo wyvern mask I've ever seen in my life. This is the Grenada dodo. And look, I popped it into photo mode just to take a good look at it from a safe distance. Yeah, nope, not today. We went around it and did not look back. Back at base, I checked on my bulb dogs and unfortunately the babies had been miscarrying, just dying before they even had a chance to live. It was brutal. Now, we needed cementing paste, specifically a lot of it. So we headed out to find ourselves some beaver dams. Now, of course, on the way there was a big, scary, spectral Triceratops. I think it wanted to kill us and us alone. But, and this is the important part, we did manage to get some cementing paste before that happened. So I'm gonna call this a partial win. We flew back out for another run this time. We had a little trick up our sleeve though. It's a little bit cheesy, but we had to do it. We had the loot grabber mod in this playthrough. Now look, it's massively cheesy, but being able to just swoop in, steal some cementing paste straight out of the beaver dam without even having to dismount, absolutely beautiful. No shame whatsoever. Now, you might be wondering, why did we need so much cementing paste? Well, let me tell you. We wanted to build ourselves a greenhouse, and to build a greenhouse, we need cementing paste, alongside crystal of course, which we had already sorted from a while ago. So we got everything together and started laying it down. As for fertilizer, we didn't have any proper fertilizer just yet, so we just used poop, a lot of poop. Our dinosaurs might have diarrhea or something, I don't know. There was just a lot. We will eventually get ourselves a dung beetle, but for now, we have this to work. We will eventually get ourselves a dung beetle to be able to get ourselves some proper fertilizer, but for now, poop will be fine. Day 12, and we started off just by doing some base work. Now, I figured out instead of having to build some pillars up from the water below our base, you can actually lay down some foundations and they kind of act like a floating ceiling, and the structural integrity holds up just fine. Now, we tried to hatch some more trike eggs next to the forge like we did last time, but this time it just wasn't working. Maybe it's too cold now. The forge wasn't doing enough, so we crafted up some air conditioners in our fabricator, and funnily enough, the moment I started placing them down, the eggs hatched. I don't know if it was the forge finally kicking in or the air conditioners just happening to be in range at the time. Honestly, I have no idea. We also crafted up an awesome teleporter today. Ragnarok is a massive map, and I wanted to make sure that we had a way to get back to base whenever we needed to. Now, our next mission was to tame ourselves a savage Achatina. And the reason we want one is so that we can start producing our own cementing paste passively. As we're flying up to it though, we got murdered by a parrot. It was brutal. Like a goddamn parrot. And in the chaos, we also lost our pteranodon. Our second pteranodon actually. And I wasn't breeding them, so we have no way to be able to get any more. So with that being said, we had to jump on our bulb dog and headed back out to find this snail. After all, we still have a job to do. Now along the way, we ran into our old friend, the Grenada Dodo. And look, I thought we could just outrun it. I genuinely believed that it was possible. It is not. Oh my god. It has devastating grenades and it blew us up without even breaking a sweat. Gone. This time we grabbed a backup bulb dog, gave the Grenada Dodo a very much wide berth, and made it to the Achatina. And since it was a passive tame, it was dead simple. Tamed it up, brought it back to base, and discovered you can actually ride it, which is completely random and an unexpected bonus. Popped it in the soul terminal so it could start producing some... I then popped it in a soul terminal so it could start producing some cementing paste. Now, next on the agenda, we need a flyer. So we went out hunting for a savage pteranodon this time, because obviously a modded savage one is going to be a big upgrade from what we have. On the way there, we came across 3 creatures that I genuinely could not identify. I have no idea what these things are, but they are terrifying. Big, powerful, and clearly not something we wanted any part of right now. We used our distance and got around them very carefully. Then, as we finally found the savage pteranodon and started the taming process, we got jumped by what looked like maybe NPCs. It happened so fast I couldn't exactly tell you what they were. I did manage to escape though, but I think the pteranodon that we had slain is gone. But as we were escaping, we spotted some burrow bucks. Hey, now these are the brand new creatures to Ark, and they're the most adorable little bunnies you have ever seen in your life. Hey buddy. Oh, I went over to go and investigate and somehow ended up getting trapped by their nest. And then one of them started hitting me. Bro. Rude. Yeah. Murdered by bunnies. On day 12. That happened. Day 13, and we headed back out on our bulb dog for a little bit more exploring. This time we headed on over to the desert biome of Ragnarok. Now, I love the desert for one specific reason. You can see very vast distances, no trees, no cliffs, no surprises. You can actually see what's coming for you before it kills you, which is very important in this mod. Now, once we arrived, I quickly realized some of the creatures out here could probably one-shot our bulb dog. So we swapped it out for our Triceratops and just started killing things. Much safer this way. Now, the main reason we came out here was to track down a dung beetle. We needed one badly so we could start turning all of our accumulated dinosaur poop into proper fertilizer. And sure enough, we found one. This savage one right here. I shoved some savage kibble up its butt because it's a passive tame. And just like that, it was ours. And then we spotted it. A desert supply crate on the ground. And a really good one. So we ran over to it, giddy with excitement, and inside it, it had an ascendant long neck rifle. But no, I'm not high enough level. Fuck. Level 80 required. We were nowhere near level 80. So we just had to turn around and walk away from it. This one really hurt. We could have really used that long neck rifle. We teleported back to base, placed our dung beetle into the SCS terminal so it could start converting our mountains of poop into actual fertilizer, and then just spent some time around base crafting up some narcotics and some berserk ingots. Then we headed back out to try and tame ourselves a savage Therizino. Now these things are incredible for 2 reasons. They're fantastic harvesters for berry, fiber, and even wood, but they're also genuinely dangerous fighters. A boss killer in the right situation. Unfortunately, the universe had other plans. Every time we got close, there was something else trying to kill us. Raptors, piranhas in the water, just constant interruptions. And then a baryonyx showed up and ended us completely. No chance. the Therizino was not happening today. On the bright side, we did unlock the ability to craft some taming cakes, which can starve out creatures immediately and massively speed up the taming process. It had been some time, so we could now fill up our crop plots with fertilizer and some fresh seeds and call it a day. Day 14, we just started off with some base work. We extended the front of our base just a little bit, adding some pillars and ceilings to flatten everything out nicely. It's starting to come together slowly, but for now, it's starting to look a lot cleaner too. Then we jumped on our bulldog and headed on out to the volcano area because we needed some more crystal. And I'm pretty sure off memory, there should be some around here. Sure enough, we found some. Not a huge amount, but enough to keep us going for now, so we'll take it. Now, while we were out here, I noticed we were right next to the wyvern trench as well. And look, the temptation of trying to steal an egg was way too strong. So I dove down into the wyvern trench, had a look around, saw a wyvern coming our way, and yeah, I quickly fell to my death. I didn't even get killed by the wyvern. I just fell. My bad. Moving on, back at our base, we crafted up our second fabricator. Now you might be wondering, why do we need two fabricators? Well, our original one is the vanilla fabricator. That's specifically where we can make the awesome teleporter, but this new one is the CS fabricator. It's a modded version where we can craft CS specific items like the CS air conditioner. These work a little bit better than the vanilla ones. It's a small upgrade, but it definitely helps. And then we went ahead and placed some walls around the top of our behemoth gate. You see, even with the gate sealed off at the front, I was still a little bit worried about something like a wyvern or a dragon could possibly still fly in through the top of the cave. So I just wanted to close it off. I'm still scarred from the last time we lost our base. Is this base complete now? Not quite. We still have a little bit to go, but that extra layer of safety up on top, it matters. We're slowly getting there. Day 15 and we headed over to what we are now calling officially the Great Lake Island. It's just near our base and mostly full of herbivores, and today we were hunting. We needed savage hide and savage blood because we are preparing for something big. A boss fight. We've been breeding enough Triceratops now that I genuinely think that we might have a chance to take it on. Yes, we are fighting the boss with Triceratops. Is it crazy? Absolutely. Are we doing it anyway? You already know the answer. Back at base, we then placed down a CS gardener so it could passively collect all the crops from our greenhouse automatically. No more manual harvesting. Beautiful. Then it was time to prepare our army. We got all of our trikes out and started leveling them up. Now, they don't have a huge amount of levels, so we just have to hope that it's going to be enough. We set up an area close to our base, but tucked away from everything so no random creatures could wander in and complicate things. And then we summoned the boss. There was electricity everywhere, very dramatic, very intimidating. And then the boss appeared, and it was a giant snail, an absolutely massive, enormous snail. Our entire trike army charged in, and to be fair, we were doing some damage, but they started dying really quickly. I threw out backup trikes I had in my pocket to keep the fight going, and for some reason I was just standing there shooting at this giant snail with my crossbow. I don't know what I thought was going to happen, but here we are. I tried to get back on one of my trikes, but as I dismounted earlier to throw out the backups, the trike charged into the fight and, well, it's gone. I wasn't ready to give up though. Psych, I kind of was. I just placed down a refrigerator. Look, sometimes in the heart of battle, you think, you know what? I should really keep my food fresh. No regrets. I then went back outside and saw the loot bags from all of our dead trikes scattered everywhere. The boss was still there. We grabbed all of the saddles we could from the ground and started running. And yes, I got jump scared by it. The giant snail was right there. I was absolutely jump scared by this snail. A snail! I screamed and legged it as fast as I could, but the thing was, it just wouldn't leave me alone. So I kited it into the water, and then something rather satisfying happened. Turns out, the giant snail cannot swim at all. It just sank straight down to the bottom of the ocean. I floated there and just watched it sink. I then teleported back to base and sat down to rethink everything. The trikes were not enough. We are going to need a completely different strategy if we want to defeat this boss. So I guess it's back to the drawing board. Day 16 and I pulled up my Dino Finder to see what savage creatures were available for us to tame on the map. The main target today was a savage Pteranodon. We really needed a proper flyer if we wanted to get around this map properly, and all of our other Pteranodons, well, they just keep dying on us. In the meantime, we kept our trikes breeding, just ticking away in the background. More trikes mean more options for us to fight the boss later again. So I then headed out to track down this savage Pteranodon. Found one pretty quickly actually. Only problem, it was in the redwoods, and the redwoods are never safe. We got killed almost immediately, of course. Right, let's find another one, which we did, except this one wasn't a savage Pteranodon at all. It was a savage Seeker. Now look, the Pteranodons just haven't been giving us any luck whatsoever, and this Seeker was right there, available, not immediately trying to kill us. So we thought, why not? Let's try something different. We chased it around for a bit, and I was actually surprised that it wasn't aggressive at all. I knocked it out, fed it up, tamed it. Simple enough. Then I figured I could just jump straight on its back and hit the skies. But no. Of course, we needed a saddle first. Teleported back to base, crafted up a Savage Seeker saddle, and now we were finally back in the air. It's a little slower than the Pteranodon, and definitely a little different to what we're used to, but we're flying again, and that's all that matters. Day 17, and we took off on our Seeker and headed back to the desert biome. Today was pretty straightforward, honestly. We were out hunting, getting some kills, gathering resources. Specifically, we were hunting mantises so we could stock up on some chitin and organic polymer as well. But more importantly, we needed the hide and blood because we were making another savage boss summon. That's right, we're going to fight this giant snail again, with trikes. Is it a bad idea? Yeah, probably. Now look, I know what you're thinking, and yes, you're right. It is dumb. I'm fully aware of that. We just need to wait a little bit longer for enough of our baby trikes to grow up and become stronger before we can go back in. So for now, we kept farming, kept breeding, and kept telling ourselves that this is definitely going to work this time. It will work this time, right? Day 18, and it was time to prepare for round 2 against the giant snail. Last time we went in underprepared. This time we're doing things properly. We got every single strike we had and leveled them up all as much as possible, significantly pumping points into their health. I want these things to last longer than 5 seconds this time. That's what she said. Now, I also remembered something that I had completely forgotten about, health potions. Because we had been harvesting blood from creatures this whole time, we actually had enough to craft quite a few of them. We can use all of them in combination with each other to hopefully keep ourselves alive in this fight. We headed to our boss fighting area and started bringing out everything that we had. Trikes, obviously, but we also took our bulb dogs along as well. Look, I don't expect them to last long, but if they can distract the boss for even a few seconds, that's a few more seconds our trikes will stay alive. We had significantly more dinos this time. Summoned in the boss, sent everyone into battle, and stayed back to find my own space to help out from the rear. And honestly, this was working for a little while. Then it wasn't. Even with all the saddles and a massive army, they were getting absolutely wrecked. I threw out all of my backup dinos I had in my pocket just to keep the pressure up, but then I looked up at the boss and I saw something that made my stomach drop. It was healing itself. Wait, what the crap? It's healing every time it kills something. Every creature it took down was giving its health back. Our army was literally making it stronger, so I scrapped our plan entirely and just went in solo with my strongest trike. Just me, my best trike, and a pocket full of health potions. Absolutely unhinged strategy, but here we are. This was a long process. So long in fact that the sun started rising and we rolled straight into the very next day. Yes, it is now day 19 and we're still fighting this giant snail. I knew we were going to win eventually. It was just taking so long that my finger was genuinely starting to hurt from clicking so much. So I did something I normally wouldn't do unless I already knew the outcome. Pineapples and the real Thylacoleo jumped in and brought their Savage Rex and a Savage Dragon with them. Look, I'm not proud of needing backup against the snail, but we needed this to end, and it surely did end. The boss went down, but it wasn't over just yet. Immediately, another snail dropped in right on top of us. Now, this one is very different. This one was the tameable version, and we need to tame it in order to progress. Unfortunately, we were pretty light on trank arrows and darts, so I had to race back to base and craft up as many as we possibly could on the spot, and got to work trying to knock this thing out on foot, which is exactly as chaotic as it sounds. I spotted a tall pillar nearby and used our grapple hook to get up on top of it. From here, I could shoot straight down onto the boss and it couldn't reach me. Well, it was trying to climb up slowly, and I think it was getting there. So I jumped back down on the ground and found a spot where it seemed to get stuck back on the mountain, and it couldn't quite get to me. So from here, I just kept shooting, and it worked. Down it went. We tamed it up, and then came the very important matter of naming it. Gary. What up, Gary? We named it Gary. Obviously, you know, from SpongeBob. Then I had a look inside Gary's inventory and saw something that just said, read me. And that's when we learned if we feed Gary some berries, he produces savage snail slime balls, which we are going to need to craft the next tier of kibble. Oh, and one more thing. Gary is absolutely massive right now and not exactly base friendly. But apparently if we feed him some savage blood and hide, he shrinks down to a more manageable size, which is exactly what we did. Welcome to the team, Gary. You are the strangest but most important member of this operation right now. Day 20, and we have officially moved up to the next tier of taming, the toxic tier. Things are getting serious, so we headed out to go find ourselves some toxic creatures to tame. But along the way, we stumbled across some modded ovises. Now, I do know a little something about these guys. When you harvest them for their meat, hide, and fur, you get an absolute crazy amount of resources. So obviously we killed this berserk one and kept harvesting it with our pick, where we got a ton of resources. So much of it that we assorted for tranks and potions for a very long time. We also killed this toxic one just for good measure. We're not going to be running out of supplies anytime soon. Now earlier I crafted up a cooking pot so we could craft up some medical brews which we need for our modded potions. Except somehow I accidentally made a bunch of dyes instead. So I figured, you know what? I'll put them to use. I dyed my hair red first. Didn't love it, even though it's our traditional color, so we started playing around with different styles. Then we landed on this. I like it. Anyways, back to business. We went out to find ourselves a toxic pteranodon. Pretty textbook tame, honestly. Nice and clean. Popped it into a dino ball, went back to base, crafted up a toxic pteranodon saddle, and hit the skies. Now here's what makes the toxic tier creatures so exciting. They can deal torpor damage, which means we no longer have to rely solely on our trank arrows and darts to knock everything out. Our pteranodon can help with the heavy lifting. So naturally, the first thing I wanted to try it out on was a toxic dragon. We spotted one pretty quickly, but it was right in the middle of a battle with a narcotic Argentavis. And look, I wasn't about to fly in the middle of that crossfire and die. So we had to move on. That's when we spotted something even more interesting nearby. Oh, what in the... Look at that thing. Holy crap. For now, we found ourselves a toxic Rex in the perfect location to attempt a knockout. We used our toxic pteranodon to deal some torpor damage, and look, it worked. Kind of. It was a little slow and a little janky, but if I'm being completely honest, the torpor damage just wasn't hitting quite how we needed it to. So we dismounted, pulled out our long neck rifle, loaded up with some berserk tranks, and did this the old fashioned way. Day 21 and we're still out here trying to knock out this toxic Rex. The one saving grace was that it had gotten into a fight with a Triceratops nearby and it was completely distracted, which meant it wasn't focusing on me. Well, that was until it killed the trike and then it wanted to focus on me and then I had to run for my life. To make things worse, there were plenty of other dangerous creatures scattered around and the last thing we needed was to run into one of them. The Rex was torped up enough that it had started running away from us, which was good in a sense that it couldn't kill us, but bad in a sense that it could run straight into something that would eat it or me. Then a Microraptor came out of nowhere and tried to fight us. Now normally that would be a problem, but our berserk pickaxe is actually surprisingly strong and we put it down pretty quickly. We kept shooting, kept chasing, kept the pressure up, and finally we knocked it out. And then I sang this song. Go to sleep, toxic Rex, it's time for me to enslave you. We fed it the kibble and waited, only for something to come creeping up behind it and start biting on our unconscious Rex, just casually trying to ruin everything. We got our toxic pteranodon out and fought it off, but it did do a bit of damage to our Rex and I was hoping it wouldn't affect our taming effectiveness. Doesn't matter really, we did need this Rex either way. While we waited, a corrupt dark god griffin nearby started dropping some absolutely massive attacks around it. What in the frick? I'm staying well away from that. We kept our distance, waited it out, and eventually our toxic Rex was fully tamed, popped it safely in a dino ball, and got out of there as fast as possible. We then moved on to the canyon biome, where we spotted a male toxic Rex on the edge of a cliff. Not a great level, but it will do. There were no dangerous creatures around, which was a massive bonus. So we got its attention and kited it away from the edge so it wouldn't fall down to whatever was lurking below. Then we used our Pteranodon's torpor ability to start dealing some torpor damage before finding a lovely little ledge to shoot down from with our Trank Dart, which is way more effective than our Pteranodon, honestly. We chased it in circles for a while and eventually knocked it out in the water. Now we hope it just doesn't drown. But whilst we were waiting for it to tame up, we noticed something across the water. A featherlight or some creepy eyes just staring at us. You see that featherlight just across the way, just staring into our soul? Can you see that? Creepy, very creepy. So we went over to investigate why this thing was locked onto us like that. Oh, you're dead. Turns out it was actually dead. Funny story that. Not staring, just dead. Anyway, we harvested it for its blood and hide and moved on. Toxic Rex now fully tamed, Dinobold, back to base. Breeding operation has now commenced with these two toxic Rexes. They're going to be the perfect boss fighting army. Whilst we wait for these Rexes to breed up, we then head over to find a mate for our toxic Pteranodon. Found one on the map, flew over to it, and it was already dead by the time we got there. Murdered by what? I have no idea, and I did not want to stick around and find out. Found another one, bolted it, put it to sleep, and then we could finish the taming of our new Pteranodon. Back at base, there was a massive savage dragon just sitting inside our cave. Turns out it was Pineapples, just popping in to say hello. Now look, we could have done this a little bit earlier, but we just got around to making it official right now. We added Pineapples and his tribe mate, the real Thylacoleo, to our alliance. And as we always do, we named our alliance the Dodo Legion. Welcome to the gang, boys! We had a little bit of fun and messed around for a little bit with the lads before they went on their way. I then headed out to go grab some resources. Needed something to do, particularly wood from the redwoods near the green obelisk, which is a little bit safer than the redwoods near our base. And then when I returned back to base, Pineapples returned as well, but this time he came with a gift. He handed over one of his drakelings, a creature that apparently helps you find better loot and does some sort of XP related stuff. Honestly, I couldn't quite figure out how to use all of its special abilities on the spot, but it's pretty cool to have. I might figure it out eventually. Day 22, and we finally had a fully grown Toxic Rex baby. Whipped up a saddle, jumped on its back, and took it out for a spin. And look, this thing is really damn strong. It was even taking down berserk creatures without even breaking a sweat. We are finally at a point in this playthrough where we can actually go out and resist dying. Obviously, as long as we stay in our lane and we don't try and pick on anything too tough. So with that, we did manage to kill a whole bunch of things. It was great. Back at base, we tried to figure out how this drakeling creature works that Pineapples gave us. Apparently, it's supposed to help us locate better loot somehow. We tried adding some XP to a different dino with it, messed around with it for a little bit, but honestly, it wasn't clicking for us. I couldn't figure it out. Now, big picture time. We need to fight 3 berserk bosses. The Berserk King of the Desert, the Berserk King of the Grasslands, and the Berserk King of the Swamps. Once we take all 3 of these down, we can progress to the next tier of creatures, and that is our goal. We were currently waiting for a Toxic Pteranodon to hatch its an egg, but honestly, I couldn't be bothered waiting around. So we just jumped on the back of my Seeker and then flew over to the Berserk King of the Grasslands, and then we saw it. This thing is terrifying. It looks like a Giga, but with big ass spikes everywhere. Just this enormous, horrifying, spiky nightmare of a creature staring right back at us. But you know how we like to do it here? We're gonna fight it right now. Now, I had learned from our last boss fight that sending in an army really wasn't doing much for us. So this time, we went in solo with our Toxic Rex. Just us and this 3.8 million health monstrosity. Now, here's something I learned very quickly about Toxic Rexes. Unlike the trikes, you can't just use the health bars from your hotbar while riding them. You actually have to feed the potions to them by hand, which makes keeping them alive significantly more complicated mid-fight. And with us only doing 3,000 damage per bite against the 3.8 million health dino, this was going to take an extremely long time. We kept it up for a while, but eventually it became pretty clear we were not winning this fight today. So I gave up, and I have to rethink our strategy. And that's when it clicked. This is a berserk boss. Maybe I'm supposed to be fighting it with berserk creatures, not toxic ones. So with that, I teleported back to base and did a little bit of research. Oh, we need berserk creatures. What the frick am I doing with the toxics then? Yeah, turns out Toxic and Berserk are technically in the same tier, but Berserk creatures are the significantly stronger. And Toxic tier is mainly used for knocking things out rather than fighting, which I suppose makes sense. Right. We need berserk creatures, but to make berserk kibble, we need raw fish, which we're out of. So I jumped in the ocean with our Toxic Rex, tracked down this megalodon, killed it, and harvested some fish meat. We will soon have berserk kibble. Day 23, and now that we knew that we should be taming berserk creatures, it was time to go and find some for ourselves, like a Berserk Rex. We pulled up the Dino Finder and located one nearby. Perfect level as well. The only problem is, once we got there, it was getting absolutely wrecked by some NPCs. Found another one close by though, max level. That'll do just fine. Now the plan was to use our Toxic Rex to deal some torpor damage and knock it out, but of course, nothing is ever that simple. There was a Berserk Dragon nearby that caught our attention first. Initially, it looked intimidating. Turns out, it actually wasn't that strong. We killed it before it could kill us or ruin any chance of us taming this Rex. Back to the Berserk Rex. We stayed mounted on our Toxic Rex, kept using our torpor abilities to chip away at it. Then of course, another pest joined the party. A fire wyvern this time. It was only a level 55, so we weren't too worried and we could kill it pretty quickly. But during all this chaos, we got stuck in this rock. I couldn't move, couldn't reposition. Trying to kill this fire wyvern was turning out to be kind of a pain in the butt. But we did get there eventually. Fire wyvern down. But we are still stuck in this rock though. After wiggling our way free, we repositioned up on a nearby rock, jumped off, put the Toxic Rex away and just ran. Created some distance and switched to our trank darts to finish the job the old-fashioned way. The Berserk Rex had lost a fair bit of health by this point. The Berserk Rex was on the run and was about to be knocked out, but we did have to chase it around for a little bit until we finally knocked it out. I then fed it some kibble and a health potion because it was kind of banged up a bit. Then I had a thought. We can make taming cakes now. So teleported back to base, crafted one up, came back and fed it to the Rex. It basically tamed up instantly. Now there wasn't currently any Berserk male Rexes on the map, so we shifted our focus back to the base. We added some metal ceilings to extend it out and replace some stone ones that we had been using. are significant upgrades in terms of strength and security. Of course, metal is expensive, so we headed on back out to harvest some metal nodes by hand for the rest of the day. Day 24 and the Dino Finder came through for us again. A male Berserk Rex, level 150. And it was in the perfect location right next to some water with some cliffs nearby. So we used the water to slow it down and grappled onto the cliffs to shoot down from it from a safe distance. All was going smoothly right up until it started running away. So we chased it down, put it to sleep, and from there it was pretty straightforward. Kibble in, taming cake, done. Both Berserk Rexes and the breeding operation was officially underway. These two will hopefully build us an army that we actually need to be able to fight these Berserk bosses properly this time. Now, whilst we waited, I wanted a chemistry bench to be built. Only problem, we didn't have enough electronics, which meant it's time to head back out to our old faithful spot at the Viking Bay for some silica pearls. This time we came prepared. Scuba tank on, dove down, and stayed underwater for a lot longer than we normally could. Collected a massive amount of silica pearls, and then headed on back home. Then we realized we're gonna need a lot more metal to actually make these electronics. And because it refines so slowly, we set up a whole bunch of refining forges. And we kept it up right up until we had enough to craft up something that was going to change everything around here. An industrial forge. This thing smelts metal significantly faster than any normal refining forge. Once it was placed down and running, we got rid of all of our old refining forges and just let the industrial forge do all the heavy lifting. With the industrial forge ticking away, we took one of our baby Berserk Rexes out for a test run. I wanted to see what it could do. We started picking on some savage bulb dogs nearby just to get a feel for it, but unfortunately they weren't all savage. Turns out one of them was a necrotic bulb dog, and it murdered us within seconds. Obviously, our Berserk Rex died as well. Day 25, we had gathered so much metal that it was finally time to craft up some more metal ceilings for our base. We probably should be focusing on other things, but here we are. Whilst the ceilings were crafting up, we stood at the smithy for a while, just kind of staring at it. To do something a little bit more productive, we then got to work on some narcotics and some spark powder. We needed to get some more tranks going, and spark powder is what we needed to make gunpowder. Oh, and I didn't forget, we now have enough resources to build this chemistry bench. So we cancelled everything that was going on in the mortar and pestle, transferred it all over to our chemistry bench, and the upgrade had begun. Now we had another one of our Berserk baby Rexes fully grown up, so it was time to take it over to the Great Lake Island. This thing was doing 6,500 damage per bite. Our power levels have increased quite a lot since the early days of this playthrough. We killed a bunch of dinos, leveled up our Berserk Rex nicely, and started feeling pretty confident about where we're at. Confident enough, in fact, that we decided it was time to go and fight the Berserk King of the Grasslands. Properly this time, with the right creature, with an actual plan. We flew over to find it, and before we could even get our Rex out to fight, a toxic fire wyvern killed us. Who knows, it might have been stalking us the entire way over here. Day 26, and we're going back in to fight this Berserk King of the Grasslands. This time double checking for anything around us that could possibly kill us. I'd also brought a couple spared Rexes with us as well. I went to go throw them out, but then I accidentally threw out our Seeker. Yeah, our Seeker died quickly, but we have no time to grieve our poor Seeker. So we just have to get in there and start killing this Grasslands boss, which, judging by the amount of damage we're doing, might take us quite a while. We just continued biting away at it and occasionally having to open up our inventory to heal. I really don't like the fact that we have to open our inventory. I prefer being able to heal from the hotbar. It's a long, tedious grind, but thanks to these heal potions, we were able to stay in this fight. And about 10 minutes later, we finally killed our very first Berserk boss. And bang, baby! Finally. Upon defeating it, we got a whole bunch of loot, which includes some Ascended saddles and some Berserk armor pieces. But the most important item was this. There we go, the primitive King of Grasslands soul. The soul is used to evolve the savage snail boss. Now that we're comfortable killing these bosses, it's time to move on to the very next boss. This massive death worm with spikes all over it, the Berserk King of the Desert. Now, strangely enough, it was kind of bugged out. Get it? Because it's a bug and it's a death worm. If you notice, it was dealing 0 damage to us. I could just stand here and bite the entire time and not receive any damage. I'm not sure if it was the angle that we were standing on or if this boss was just bugged out. I don't know. But of course, this made defeating it rather simple. This just took way too long. It's now day 27, and usually I try and go and fight the next boss, the Berserk King of the Swamps. But unfortunately, it's not on the map currently. So whilst we wait, we summon in the savage boss. Now, it might seem like a strange thing to do, but we actually need to get another tameable version of these, because once we finally defeat the last Berserk boss, the King of the Swamps, We could then evolve this savage Achatina into the berserk Achatina, which is explained right here. We just need all 3 of the souls of the bosses. The other thing is though, I have to keep this snail big and I can't shrink him down because I'm pretty sure you can't evolve it once it's shrunk down. But because he's so damn massive, I have to extend our base out even further just to fit him in. He's a big boy and he's just gonna have to wait over here. I then checked the dino finder and saw that the king of the swamps had finally spawned on the map. So it's finally time to fight this big boss. And this one was probably the toughest one of them all. This glowing red lightning fueled Sarko was pretty damn powerful. There was quite a few close calls. Our cooldown for our potions was starting to get a little bit tight. Damn, I timed the potions wrong. This could be dangerous. I was starting to get quite worried that we might not defeat this guy. And we'd been here for quite a while. It even led on to the very next day.
My hand's starting to hurt.
And yeah, like I mentioned, my hand was definitely starting to hurt.
If my math's correct, I just gotta click 90 more times.
Roughly 90 more times later, and we finally defeated this boss, the very last boss of the Berserk tier.
Ready, 2, almost there. Yes, you are dead, you stupid crocodile.
Oh wait, you are dead, you stupid crocodile. We finally defeated all of the Berserk bosses, which means yes, we can now turn this savage Achatina into the Berserk Achatina by feeding it all of the souls of the previous bosses that we just killed. So of course, I went ahead and named this Red Gary. Welcome to the family, Red Gary. And Red Gary works just like normal Gary. By feeding him some berries, he will then make us some slimes that we can then use to be able to make the next tier of kibble. Oh, and since defeating all of those bosses, we have new armor. Check out the new drip. We dripping. Anyways, we have now made it to the very next tier. And this is where it opens up to us having to tame queen bees, as we need honey to be able to make the kibble. Now first, we need to try and get our hands on a necrotic giant queen bee. Unfortunately, this one was stuck underneath the map, and there was a lot of explosions going on around the world, so I didn't want to try and tame this particular one. Thankfully, there's quite a few on the map, so we could just go and find another one. One thing that I wasn't prepared for though, was the fact that it's a necrotic, it can actually kill me off the back of my tame. And then once I returned, our Berserk Rex was fighting it. It was pretty banged up, but it did in fact kill the necrotic giant queen bee. So once again, we had to try and find one on the map that we could try and actually tame. I began by clearing out all the riffraff that was around that might get in the way of our taming. And then I began shooting it to knock it out. As long as I could keep my distance, being able to knock it out wasn't too much of a problem. It was the little pests that were around that were kind of the problem. I then put it to sleep, and then I kind of realized, well, I don't have necrotic kibble, and I need honey to be able to get necrotic kibble. I kind of figured I could get honey out of it once I knocked it out, kind of like the wyverns, and boy was I wrong. Then I kind of figured maybe if I made some necrotic flowers and put it in the knocked out bee, I could then get it. So that necrotic bulldog that killed us earlier, well, we went and killed it, gathered a little bit of its blood, made some of the rare flowers, returned to the knocked out giant queen bee, and it started making honey. Well, until it didn't actually give us any honey. Yeah, this thing didn't work at all. I then went and looked up how I'm supposed to actually get myself some honey, and that's when I discovered, well, the very first queen bee that you tame, well, you don't. You have to kill it. And upon its death, you will receive a little bit of honey.
Just kill it.
Enough for you to be able to make a couple kibbles so you can eventually tame one for yourself. Yes, this was a very big learning process. Hopefully you don't have to go through it when you play through this mod. Day 29, and I invested quite a few resources into crafting something that's going to help us massively. A fabricated sniper rifle, which you can put some trank bullets into it, which in theory should help us to be able to tame some of these creatures a lot easier. Since they have an 8-bullet clip, we can repeatedly shoot at the dinos and constantly deal torpor. Trust me, it'll probably work a lot better than that, and I shouldn't die like that. See, like we returned back and we were able to do it quite well, actually. Kibble in, taming cake in, and we have now tamed a necrotic giant queen bee. Now, our next task might be us going a little bit backwards, but it's important. I want to tame this Berserk Anki. Moving forward, we're going to need a ton of metal, and an Anki like this should help us achieve that. I also wanted to tame a Berserk Therizino as well. Taming this would prove to be a little bit more tricky since there were other theories around that would kind of get in the way, and I knew if I hit one, the others would aggro as well. But thankfully we were close to some cliff edges, so I could shoot this particular one, jump off the cliff edge, use my grapple hook to hook onto the side of it so it couldn't get to me, and then I could patiently wait for it to go to sleep. Berserk Therizinosaur now acquired. These 3 dinos are definitely going to help us move up in this world. I then came up to this rocky area that's right in between the desert and the redwoods biome. Placed down this awesome teleporter so we could come back here whenever we needed, because this area is the perfect place for us to be able to farm some metal in peace. Sure, there's better metal spots around, but there's not many creature spawns up here, so we can kind of stay safe while we're just harvesting metal on our Berserk Anki. There's some crystal and obsidian here as well, so we might as well pick this up while we need it. Day 30, we came over to the swamp with our new Berserk Therizino. We're going to need a ton of rare flowers, and this is the best place to gather some, and our Therizino is the best harvester to get some. The other thing is, the Therizinos are also great killers. So if there's pests like this toxic Parasa here, I can just kill it. Of course, we still need to avoid much stronger creatures, but this should keep us somewhat safe. But a few thousand rare flowers should keep us in business for quite a while. I should have done this a little bit earlier, but we finally enclosed off our greenhouse. This way we can maximize the effectiveness of our greenhouse, and we get 300% max effectiveness on all of our crops. Okay, with all of the things done, we can now move on progressing through this mod by taming our very next creature, the necrotic bulb dog. It's nothing crazy special, but I figured it might be a cool little tame to get. For our first necrotic one, that is. Using the height of this cliff, we could shoot down and deal torpor to it. We ran out of bullets pretty quick, but we could rely on our trank darts to be able to get the job done. And just like that, we had successfully tamed a necrotic bulb dog, our very first necrotic tier dino. Day 31, we went out to go and try and tame this level 25 necrotic Allosaurus. Now you might be wondering, why would we tame something so low in level? Well, there's not very many necrotic tier dinos on this map, and we need something that can lay some eggs. See, bulb dogs don't lay eggs, and we're gonna need necrotic eggs if we want to progress to the next tier later on. We're just trying to get this done early so the eggs can start producing before we get to the next tier. I then went and looked through our engrams and noticed that we're missing a ton of engrams because we're not a high enough level. But then I remembered there's actually a quick way to get a ton of levels. It's kind of sadistic, but if we delete a bunch of our baby Rexes, well, we do gain a bit of XP from killing our own babies. After they all died, we gained 8 more levels. We're now level 97, which gave us a whole bunch of extra engrams. Unfortunately, nothing that we kind of need right now. I don't know, maybe we need to be a little bit higher level. Next, I needed to get my hands on some necrotic blood. There was this necrotic equus just drowning out in the ocean. I needed to relieve it of all of its pain. It definitely can't swim that good, so its death was, it was a mercy death. And with some of the hide that we got, we could unlock the necrotic flak helmet that I could place on our bulb dog with a bulb dog saddle to give it a mass amount of armor. Then we could go and test this bad boy out. Now the bulb dog does quite a bit of damage on its own, but its AoE attack really does some damage. Number wise, it doesn't seem like a lot, but its tick damage over time is so damn quick that it melts its enemies. And this is just a bulb dog. Quite impressive. But I honestly don't think a bulb dog's going to cut it for us to be able to progress and defeat the necrotic boss. So I wanted to whip up some more kibble, requiring us to get some more honey, so that we could definitely tame up a boss killer. And yes, I kind of caved. Once again, I seem to do this in all my playthroughs, but I really need the upgrade bench. Now, there's a chance for us to be able to get ascended long necks out of drops and everything out in the world, but there's no real chance for us to be able to get an ascended fabricated sniper rifle. This is the main reason why we added the upgrade station to this playthrough. And as we go through the tiers, we're going to need a little bit of help trying to knock out some of these creatures. Day 32, I crafted up a bunch more of these Berserk advanced sniper bullets so we could go out and tame some creatures. And I figured maybe the best boss fighting creature out of the necrotic tiers was going to be this necrotic direwolf. Currently, there wasn't a lot of options on the map at the moment for the necrotic tier, so this is going to have to do. But not only that, I'm a fan of wolves. Wolves are cool. The thing is, wolves do come in packs, so there was a few other wolves around that we had to deal with as well. And of course, I couldn't allow this to get too close. It would kill me immediately. Yeah, kind of like that. Luckily for us, we had dealt enough torpor that by the time we got back to it, it was already asleep. Gave us the perfect opportunity to feed it some kibble and a taming cake and completely tame this beast up. I think it's got diarrhea. That's kind of crazy. I then went ahead and tamed this male level 50. We only need something to help us breed. We can worry about the stats later and breed the right stats into it eventually. So taming this one was quite simple. Well, I thought it was. I couldn't find it amongst all of these shrubs or bushes right here. Where did this freaking wolf go? Oh, it wasn't even in and amongst the bushes. It was out. I just couldn't find it. Anyways, we brought these bad boys home and began the breeding process. Now, of course, there wasn't really much for us to do while our direwolves were breeding, so we just went out and gathered some more metal. Thankfully, though, because it's a gestational breed, we didn't have to worry about hatching no eggs, and the baby grew up completely in the soul ball. So we could test this bad boy out straight away, and oh my god, it does a ton of damage. We're not going to test it out on that, though. No.
Why are there two of the frickers here?
It has the same AoE ability that the bulb dog has, and does basically similar damage. Its bite is the only thing that seems like it does more damage. Either way, it is really damn strong. But also, you might have noticed something in the left-hand corner of the screen. That is the paragon system that's in this mod. The more dinos you kill, the more you can level up your paragons. And that was my goal. I wanted to level this guy up as much as possible. If you can get it to level 5, you unlock another ability. But oh my lord, is it a grind. Day 33, and we're still working on these Paragon levels. But after a couple more kills, we are at Paragon level 3. We have become a touch stronger, but for the amount of dinos that we have to kill, I'm not sure if it's worth it. Like, if we were on a map that had a high density of dinos that we could actually kill safely, maybe this could be a good idea. But if you're in the swamp, surrounded by trees, and you can't see anything in the distance, and you see big explosions and you think you're safe, yeah, well, you're not. And I just wasted all that time trying to Paragon our direwolf. But it is what it is. We just now have to start all over again from the very beginning. This time, making sure that I stay in areas that I can be kind of safe. I like the murder snow area because there's a high density of creatures around, and I can see at a far enough distance to make sure I avoid anything that could murder us again. Day 34, and I've got quite attached to this direwolf. All right, so I'm going to make sure to name this one. What are we going to name him? Yes, I named him Ace after one of my favorite characters from one of my favorite animes of all time, One Piece. Now it's time to lock in and try and get these Paragon levels done. Made it to Paragon level 3 with rather ease, but 200 more dinos, well, that's another grind ahead of us. We did occasionally have a couple close calls. Oh shoot, oh shoot, oh shoot. Like there was a vampiric wyvern chasing us down right now, and I did not want to stick around for any more of that. Thing is, we need to remain as patient as possible if we want to get this done and not die again. We managed to hit Paragon level 4 by the end of this day, but then realized we have to kill 500 creatures just to get to Paragon level 5. I needed a break from all the murder, so I placed down some behemoth gates around our base just to try and help keep dinos out and help like deter spawning. Changed a bunch more of these stone roofs into metal roofs, because why not? And then went back to hunting down creatures trying to get these Paragon levels done. I even ran into some tribesmen along the way. They're really hard to see and kind of hard to kill, surprisingly. They were the Berserk tier tribesmen, so killing them was a little bit more doable than any other tier. But best of all, once you do kill them, you get some really good loot. Day 36, we went to stock up on some more resources again, like oil and metal, extended our base out just a little bit more with more pillars down, and went back out to the snow where we saw a whole bunch of creatures ready to die. We only have 250 more creatures that need to die for us to be able to get a powerful level. We will get there, I hope. Day 37, and 7 more creatures need to die for us to get to Paragon level 5. Oh my god, this was a grind. We finally got there, and then we realized we only need to kill 1 dino. Alright, now that we've got to dino level 5, we've got to kill a Paragon dino, which means we have to fight it 1v1. Oh, I see how this works. Necrotic. Yes, just like a normal boss, the Paragon have a boss that we can summon in. Once we kill the Paragon boss, we should unlock the new ability and then go to Paragon level 6. And I have to kill him with Ace, so it's just a one-on-one fight. We summon him in, and it's this necrotic Allosaurus. I was scared. Although it doesn't have a lot of health, we did our abilities, and well, it died in seconds. Wait, that was it? Bro, that was easy. Oh, now I can power up. After all that time, it was kind of underwhelming if I'm honest, but hey, we should have unlocked a new ability. Let's test it out. Oh, and we do a little bit more damage too. This new ability was this fire breathing ability that you can see right now. Like, it's pretty good, but I don't know if it's worth killing almost 1,000 dinos just to unlock it. It's not life-changing, and we could do without it. Look, I can confidently say we do know more about the Paragon tier system, but I think this is the last you're going to see of it. It's just too much of a grind and not really worth it in the end. Especially since we're going to fight the next boss very soon, jump up to the next tier, and then we just wasted all that time for nothing. Our direwolves have been breeding like crazy, so we have a whole pack of them already. Got them all out, leveled them up, and put them away to heal up in their dino balls. Whilst they were healing up in the dino balls, I went and started adding this skin to our base. Indeed, the good old Gothic Castles and Keeps skin, I think that's what it's called, I forget. The one from Aaron Longstaff. It's really sick. I like it a lot. Except I put this glass skin on top of our behemoth gate. This way we could see outside without any too much issues and bring some light inside our base. It just feels nice. Day 38, and I'm preparing to fight the necrotic boss. I got out every single direwolf that I had back at base. Now, usually I wouldn't take an army in like we kind of figured out from before, but having a pack of direwolves is actually an advantage to us. Not only do we get a 33% damage and armor buff from the mate boost, but we also get a pack boost, which gives us 20% damage and 14% armor. So in theory, these buffs alone should help us out dramatically. Now, all we have to do is summon in this boss and kill it. Simple, right? Well, that's what I thought until I saw that it was a golem. Doesn't matter though, we need to defeat this boss. So we got its attention and charged in. I really couldn't see much amongst all of these green flames, but I could see a lot of our direwolves getting murdered. They kind of went down really damn quickly. And after all the flames settled, well, they were all gone. It was just me left. But thankfully, we had actually done quite a bit of damage. Now all I had to do was lock in and try and defeat this guy without dying myself. The flames were kind of intense and kind of hard to see as well, but obviously essential for us to be able to do some damage, really. I occasionally had to run away just to try and get our health back up and our stamina, and then continue fighting. 4 million health points remaining on this boss. We're getting pretty close to defeating it. 1 million, I needed to heal up just in case we died. Then it was time. Boom, baby! We had now defeated the necrotic golem, but it's not quite over just yet. A tameable version spawned in. Now, I could have just left this alone, or we could tame it. Of course, I've got to try and tame it. This thing's epic. Staying on the back of our direwolf, we were able to maintain distance and just shoot at it. And then after a little while, we had tamed our very own boss, necrotic golem. Dog, we got the baddest creature of them all. That thing's freaking sick. All right, let's put this saddle on your butt. Dog, look at that. I jumped straight on the back of it and had to test this thing out. And honestly, for a boss tier creature, I kind of thought it was going to be a lot better than it is. Like, don't get me wrong, it's pretty good. And because it's a golem, it has mass defense, so we do get damage reduction. But for now, we need to start preparing for our next tier. It also might help if we upgrade our fabricated sniper rifle a little bit further than it is. Day 39, I returned to my base with a little surprise just waiting there. No, not our golem, but this random box. What the frick? What is this? Enjoy the dodo. It's like pineapples and thylacoleo made me a little thing. I thought that was random as. All right, let's check this out. Things hella random. Thank you, I guess. Yeah, this is Gerald the dodo. Guess he's going to be our little mascot for the rest of this playthrough. Anyways, on to the next tier of dinos that we need to tame. We need to tame ourselves the Grenada dinos. But of course, first, we need to get some blood and some hide. Now, apparently, these guys are pretty hard to kill. Well, you kind of have to cheese them because they are like pretty much impossible to kill. They just do way too much damage. So the way we do this is we get their attention, bring them over to the cliffside here, and all I need to do is stay up high and just keep casting down these fireballs down onto its head. This way, I can't receive any damage and we can slowly kill it. But I don't think my PC liked it very much. Yeah, see? We crashed. Thankfully, I could spawn right back in and get straight back into it. And because we're up on this little cliff here, we didn't die or anything. And we could continue raining hellfire straight down onto this Grenada dodo up until the time that we finally kill it. 3 million, 2 million, 1 million? Dead. Now, Grenada dinos cannot be tamed the normal way. The only way to tame them is to kill one and then a tameable version will spawn in. And the tameable version is a lot weaker. And strangely enough, not aggressive at all. Kind of like this griffin. Like, we were pretty close, definitely within aggro range, and it wasn't doing anything. So we could just simply keep shooting this Grenada dodo. Now, it did look like it was coming towards me to kill me, but it just wasn't. My biggest concern was the fact that it might actually aggro something else and try and fight something else, so we might lose the chance to actually tame it. So I returned back to base to find a solution for that exact problem. But then I realized that we had actually gained one of these things from killing the Grenada dodo. It's called the Grenada Factory, and this is where we can craft Grenada herbs after we kill all the Grenada dinos. And Grenada herbs are what we need to be able to tame the next tier later on. Yeah, it's a whole process. Sometimes it can get a little bit confusing. Anyways, we crafted up exactly what we needed to be able to trap this Grenada dodo in place. Metal billboards. It's an oldie, but it's a goodie. And because it's not aggressive towards us, it wasn't too hard to trap it inside these metal billboards. Then we could just sit back and continue shooting it until it finally went to sleep. And although very expensive, we could craft up Grenada kibble, return back to the dodo, feed it the kibble and the taming. Well, we don't need the taming cake. Don't worry about that. It just tamed up. And now we have tamed ourselves the creepiest, most intense dodo that you've ever seen in any mod playthrough. This thing's abilities shoot rockets out of its hips and does an insane amount of damage. This is definitely Dodo Gang certified. Day 40, we went over to the snow biome, our good old faithful stomping grounds, because I figured I'd try and give this thing a go at paragoning it. And I also wanted to just test it out against something strong, like the prime mammoth right here. And oh my lord, we melted the heck out of it, doing 120,000 damage per hit. Like, dude, this dude did not like getting blown up by grenades. Not only that, I kind of wanted to harvest these prime dinos because we could then start making some prime trank bullets, which are just really strong. I then came back over to the Great Lake so we could take on another Grenader Dodo. I figured surely we would stand a good chance now since our Dodo is really strong. But every time it hit us, it did a massive amount of knockback, and the smoke and the fire and the flames, well, it kind of just got in the way. So fighting this was kind of frustrating and annoying just because of the knockback and the smoke and not being able to see and stuff. Yeah, like we just got launched straight into the water. Now we got to try and swim to shore on the slowest dodo swimmer in the world. Kind of gave up fighting that Grenader Dodo and moved on to fighting this Grenader Dodicarus. The Dodicarus was actually rather quite simple to kill. It ended up going in its defense mode where it balls up and it doesn't do anything to us. And we could just keep laying down grenades on its head until it died. But then next, we came over to the cliffy canyon area so we could fight this, the Grenader Spiner. This is definitely one that I wanted to try and tame. His top hat kind of reminds me of K-pop demon hunters. If you know, you know. Anyways, trying to kill it was kind of scary. I didn't actually want to try and fight it directly with my Grenader Dodo, and there was a cliff here, so why don't we just try and cheese it? Our Dodo couldn't shoot directly down, so that wasn't really working. In the end, I figured, YOLO, let's just give it a go on right next to it. After we get rid of these bulb dogs, of course. Annoying little pests, but we managed to get rid of these guys, and then we could just face off 1v1 against the Grenader Spiner. Again, kind of hard to see and manage our health, but this thing absolutely wrecked us. I was dropping health potions as quick as I possibly could, and shooting at the same time. We were barely managing to stay alive. We were doing a ton of damage though, and thanks to the fact that we could actually use the health potions from our hotbar on this dino, but not Rex's, I don't know how this thing works, it's confusing. We were able to stay in this fight and actually kill this Grenader Spiner. Now, of course, that does mean a tameable Grenader Spino does spawn in. And yes, I want me one of them. It's a Spino, of course, like that's dope. But I also want to make sure that we're completely prepared to be able to tame it. So I crafted up some of these prime metal ingots so we could make some prime advanced bullets. Filled up our factory with all of the tokens that we had gathered already, and then we should be ready to try and tame the Spino by tomorrow. Day 41, we returned back to the Grenader Spino with a few gates so we could trap it in place so we could successfully try and tame it. Spending a little bit of time getting these prime tranks together was actually a W move. Made our life so much easier. And just like that, we now have our very own Grenader Spino. Now that we have a Grenader Spino, I'm pretty confident that we can take on the world. We had some experience potions, so I leveled it up as much as I could. Yeah, this thing's a bit of a beast. I was so confident that we could take on basically anything. So we fought these Grenader tribesmen. I wanted to get some more free loot. Then I wanted to test our strength against this guy, the Grenader Dodo. We fought it earlier, but its knockback was so damn annoying. And the Spino, well, it doesn't receive any knockback, but it also receives a lot of damage. And yeah, we died and lost our Spino. That really sucks. Harsh lessons were learned. Anyways, we got to keep on moving. So we jumped on our ferry and started gathering up a whole bunch of berries just so we could restock our narco situation. Placed down an industrial cooker. This way we can make health potions a little bit quicker and easier. Then we got our Grenader Dodo back out. It's gonna have to be our main for now. We then went to go take on this Grenader Bigfoot. We need to kill all the Grenaders so we can progress further, and this was next on our list. The Grenader Dodo kind of seems to be the best Grenader out of them all. It just has better range of attack since it shoots low and can kind of actually hit things. The Spino just shot in a weird way that it didn't really hit stuff and do much. But the knockback was kind of frustrating. Even when we did knockback against the dinos, they would kind of get pushed away and then we had to shoot again and the aim was bad. It was tough. The fact that we could heal from our hotbar did help us quite a bit. We couldn't do that on the Spino. And it wasn't until the very next day that we finally killed this Grenader Bigfoot. Now the final Grenader that we need to kill was the Grenader Mesopithecus. I went to go and try and kill this one over here, but we got munched on by a dragon. Massive rip. I tried to escape and, well, I didn't let the dragon kill me. I killed myself. No dragon's getting me today. Turns out the Grenader Mesopithecus was inside this building right here, and I couldn't really find a way inside. Well, not while I was riding my dodo, that is. I could get inside, but on foot, and then I could go and check out all the creators that are on the walls. Fun fact, I'm on this wall. I tried to get my Grenader Dodo out inside of this place, but it wouldn't let me, and neither would the Mesopithecus. I ended up finding another one on the map, so we just went out to that to try and kill that one instead. As I went to shoot it, the knockback shot it all the way back, and then the fight began. The Mesopithecus ended up all the way in the water, and our Grenader Dodo kinda can't shoot in that direction. So we got out our necrotic golem again, and they're just gonna have to kill it the good old-fashioned way. Well, the good old cheesy way, to be honest. Except this was proving to be a little bit tricky. Since there was a little lip over this cliff here, if the Mesopithecus went under it, well, our attacks didn't work at all. So trying to get a good angle on it so we could actually deal some damage was getting kind of tricky. I reverted to using our dodo once again, but the knockback was just kind of getting in the way. Like, sure, we could kind of hit it, but it would shoot it all the way backwards, and then we couldn't reach the range. This late in the playthrough, a lot of things take a little bit longer than they typically would. So yes, it's day 43, and we're still trying to find ways to kill this stupid Mesopithecus. It was out in the water. I wanted to see if I could use my golem's ability to do damage underneath it. And surprisingly, this was working pretty well. Not only do we need to be above it, but we can do damage below it. But the knockback was turning out to be quite an issue, and it was going way too deep into the water. But at least from here, we could stand on top of our golem, get its attention with the gun, bring it back to us, and keep trying to deal damage. And we finally got it into a position that we could continually do damage, and we were able to kill it. The tameable version spawned in as well, but it died. It didn't last long at all. Got back to base, placed in all of our tokens, and I thought we were done. We were not. There's still one Grenada tribesman chief that we need to kill. Thankfully, there was one over at the Great Lake, so we could just head on over there and start doing some damage. The knockback was intense, and it was kind of hard to see them since they were so small. And also, the tribesmen don't come alone, so we have to fight multiple of them. It was quite chaotic, but we need to get this done. We need to lock in. Couldn't tell who we were doing damage to. It was all just absolute chaos. But we just got to stay focused and get this done. This fight is taking so long, bro. We got to a point where we killed the actual chief, so we didn't actually need to stick around anymore. But as I tried to leave, the tribesmen pushed me out of my teleportation. They did yeet me away though, giving me the time to be able to get out of there. And then we had the very last token for our Grenada factory. Put the last thing in, the chief. Now what happens? Is it just gonna make one? Oh, it just keeps producing it now. Bloody beautiful, mate. We have now entered the prime tier, but of course we need to get some honey going, which means we need to murder a queen bee first. Probably get rid of these annoying turkeys. It was kind of hard to actually hit the queen bee when our shots, well, they just kept missing. But since we could get it close enough to us and we could do some AoE damage, well, that seemed to work for us just fine, and we were able to get our hands on some prime honey. After getting some honey and making some kibble, surprisingly enough, there was another prime giant queen bee in the exact same location that we were just at to kill the other one. So we went to go tame it, and we died. That happened. Found another one at a different location, and with our prime trank bullets, we only had to shoot it once, and it was asleep. And with that, we have our very own prime honey making machine. I will admit, the model for the prime giant queen bee is actually pretty damn epic. Can we all just take a moment to appreciate this right now? Anyways, we need to go and tame our very first prime creature. And I really like the look of this prime sabertooth. Is it probably the best tame we could possibly get? I have no idea, but either way, it looks so epic, I have to tame it. And damn, our prime trank bullets are just so damn good. We had no issues putting this guy to sleep. Tamed our very first prime sabertooth. And of course, had to get our hands on a mate for our female because, well, obviously we need to breed these they're going to be our boss killers. Our breeding operation is underway. We left our techno kitty cats in the corner so they could get down to business. Waited patiently enough for a baby to be fully born and grown up. It feels like this happens in seconds, but trust me, I edited it a bunch out, and yeah, this did take a while to happen. Look at this epic creature. I'm in love. This thing is so damn cool. Can we just have this for the entire playthrough? Like, I love it. Oh, and for its damage, yeah, your boy hits hard. It even has this pulse that comes out of it that just absolutely destroys anything within its vicinity. Like, I could just keep running and destroy everything in my path. And because I was having so much fun, we just ran around for ages just killing stuff. Now, you might be thinking I might want to be trying to paragon this, but 500 kills for just level 1 is insane. I could only imagine what the next level would be. It might even be like 700, 800, 900, then 1,000 just to hit level 5. Killing like 3,000 creatures just to hit level 5 for what? I just don't see any point. Day 45, we took on a Grenada Bigfoot. There was two reasons on why I wanted to fight this. One, I wanted to really test out our might against anything strong. But the other reason is when you kill Grenadas, they drop Grenada health potions, and it's the only real way to get them, and they're actually really damn good. It's these brown ones right here in my hotbar. We had already gotten far enough that I figured I might as well just paragon this dino anyway. So we did. We got to Paragon level 2, and the next level required 600 kills. We're already doing 1,300,000 damage. It's not that much better than what we were doing previously. Then back at base, I went to go see exactly what we needed to do to be able to progress through to the next tier. And we need to kill 3 different bosses. We did have everything we needed to be able to summon them in though, so we started preparing for exactly that. The very first boss that we summoned in was the Prime Broodmother boss. Surprisingly, pretty easy to kill. Psych, it killed me. I was just too confident because I was doing so much damage. Day 46, once we return back to base, we could place down another one of these factories. This one is obviously called the Prime Factory, and it's where we place in the boss tokens so we can eventually make some prime herbs. So I guess I need to summon in the very next boss so we can start moving up again. We then summoned in the Prime Ferox Guardian, and although he looks pretty damn intimidating, he's really not.
Oh, if I just pump all the potions, I'm chilling.
Yeah, I do kind of wish that we could tame these Feroxes, but I don't think we can. Anyways, on to the very next boss, the Prime Spino Guardian. These bosses were incredibly easy. Either they're weak or our Sabertooth is absolutely powerful as hell. Okay, so we've officially gathered all the boss tokens that we need to start making some prime herbs, and now have officially moved up to the nuclear and vampiric tier. Yes, this is two different types of creatures that are in one tier, and you can kind of just pick which one you want to go with, I guess. I started off by trying to kill this nuclear scorpion, and this scorpion was damn tough, but not tougher than our prime Sabertooth. If it wasn't obvious, I'm just trying to get my hands on a bit of nuclear blood so we can eventually get some nuclear rare flowers, create some honey. You guys already know how this works by now, surely. I then went out and killed this vampiric queen bee. Yeah, it might be a little backwards since we just got nuclear blood, but you know, it is what it is. It's just what's available, okay? Since we killed the vampiric giant queen bee, we got some honey, made some vampiric kibble, and now we need to tame ourselves a vampiric giant queen bee ourselves. Simple, right? Wrong. It's okay though, because we did deal enough torpor that it was knocked out by the time we came back, and we could quite simply just tame it. Next on the agenda was the nuclear giant queen bee. This was a little bit more of a simple tame. I don't know if it was just easier or if we just got lucky. Either way, we managed to tame it, and now we have the nuclear and the vampiric giant queen bee. Day 47, we started crafting up some nuclear tranq bullets. Started by cooking up some metal in the forge, then some gunpowder in our chemistry bench. You know, all the requirements to be able to make these bullets. And then I was messaged by the boys to see if I could come and help them out. They were having a little bit of trouble with this Grenada Mesopithecus. They did find the perfect place to be able to summon it in and be able to fight it, and I went in to go help with my prime Sabertooth. They helped me out earlier, so it's only fair that I can go and help them out and make some light work of this Mesopithecus. Also, I'm a fan of this area. It's probably a great place to be able to summon in some bosses so we can fight them and kill them. I'm definitely going to try it out for myself in the future, but for now, I'm going to help them try and kill this Grenada Dodo. As a team, yeah, we melted through this guy's health. It did not stand a chance at all. Next, we fought the Grenada Spino, and then I went on my merry way so I could fight this vampiric scorpion so I could try and get some more blood. But I stopped tracking our health and yeah, we died. My bad. We had been breeding these prime Sabertooths, so killing this again wasn't too much of an issue. Day 48, and we have everything we need to prepare to get some vampiric kibble. So of course, now that we have ourselves some kibble, it's time to go and tame something vampiric. Something like this vampiric Hydra. Like dude, being able to tame a Hydra is pretty damn epic. We have to try. With our fabricated sniper, we started shooting at this to knock it out. But with 87 million torpor, it might take a while, and a couple deaths. Of course, I'm not going to give up on taming this thing. It's too damn awesome.
Let me get away first, damn it. You'll be asleep by the time I get back.
Yes, I was correct. Indeed, it was asleep by the time I got back. But of course, I wasn't paying enough attention, and a dragon came in as I tried to tame it, and I died.
Fucking dragon.
As I returned, though, the Hydra was fighting the dragon and destroyed it.
It's my Hydra. It's my Hydra. Okay, relax, bro. Everything's dead. Look at that, baby.
Vampiric Hydra obtained. Look at this bad boy go. Now, this thing is pretty sweet, but it does come with a few issues. Okay, yes, it does do a lot of damage.
Holy Lord.
But this laying on the ground bug is kind of weird.
What the frick is this bug, bro? Hydra's bugged.
And then the biggest issue of them all, well, I can't put it in a dino ball at all.
Oh, no. You're one of them.
Now, I could teleport it back home, but as you guys know, our base isn't going to be able to fit this big boy. It's not really useful to us if we can't get around this massive map. So with that being said, I just went to go fight this Warden Triceratops. If we die and lose this thing, I don't really mind. It's kind of useless to us now that I can't put it in a dino ball, but it could be useful to us if I can defeat this Warden Trike. Of course, it's never going to be that simple though. In theory, I could have been able to defeat it. In reality, well, it defeated me quickly. Oh, dead.
Okay, I don't mind that happened.
I then need to rethink what type of vampiric creatures I want to tame. And we did like our prime saber-tooth, so maybe a vampiric saber-tooth might be just as good. Plus, there's a lot of these on the map, so it'd be much easier to get a breeding pair and be able to keep taming them and all that kind of stuff, you know? Female now acquired. I then went to go get myself a male. So just like we normally do, I went out to go and shoot it until I ran out of bullets. I quickly swapped out to these other lower tier bullets, turned around and, oh, I'm about to die. Yeah, that happened.
What the hell?
God damn, I got pushed down by a freaking wolf. Just like the snow, the desert can also be quite a dangerous place. But we did manage to get the saber-tooth, and that's all that matters. Now we can breed up some of our very own. Day 49, and yes, this right here is a baby vampiric saber-tooth Rex, all grown up and ready to go and ride. And ride we certainly did. It's pretty damn powerful, dealing 2 million damage per hit. Also comes stacked with a massive AoE ability. Like this Grenada Dodo, well, it was still kind of tough though. We're pretty new to this vampiric saber-tooth, so I wanted to leave it alone. Oh, our old Hydra? Yeah, well, we ate it. Then I went to go and try and get the attention of the Warden Triceratops once again. Figured I'd actually have a chance at defeating it. Started biting down on it and watched our health deplete rather quickly.
The hell?
I need to kill warden creatures right now, so I wanted to try and see if my prime saber-tooth would have a chance against it. We have a bunch of these as backups anyway. We don't have a lot of vampiric saber-tooths. Well, we don't have any others, that's why we're on the prime, obviously. But I figured we might actually stand a chance with our prime saber-tooth. And at least with this, we can try and work out the mechanics of the warden to see exactly how he died so quickly. And I seem to discover that the little spikes that it's putting on the ground there, well, that's the thing doing the most amount of damage, the highest amount of tick damage. So as long as we move out of the way of that, we should be fine-ish. Well, obviously not now. We died. It just happened. But we'll try our best to get it down.
Holy shit. I didn't even get into it.
Day 50, and I wanted to try a different strategy. Maybe fighting a warden trike from the skies might be a better option. That's why we must knock out and tame this wyvern.
I'm so glad you... okay, don't worry.
I don't know what's going on, but it always seems to be that we just deal enough torpor as we die. That every time that we return, it's always knocked out. But we have successfully tamed ourselves this gorgeous vampiric wyvern. Now the question is, will this make a difference when fighting a warden triceratops? The previous one that we fought, well, it's gone. It must have despawned or something. And fighting this one right now is a little bit hard in the fog, so we got rid of it. Turns out it landed in the water. This could actually work in our favor if we can kind of line things up correctly. So I shot down some balls on it and realized, well, we get grounded.
I didn't know that was a thing. Oh, crap. And I can't move? Bro, I'm grounded and not being able to... Being grounded is one thing, but not even being able to move is another, totally other thing. I can't even change my positioning. Bro, this is impossible. Like, I can't move. The grounding stuns me completely. That's crazy.
I wasn't really a fan of this whole grounding thing. It was kind of frustrating. But we were able to reposition at one point and managed to get ourselves into a position that we could actually deal some damage without receiving too much damage. But I kind of thought that you could use the health potions from the hotbar and you couldn't on a wyvern. It's so confusing what you can and can't. And we died. So anyways, I returned with our saber-tooth and just kept trying to deal as much damage as possible. It wasn't a whole lot, but if we got to the right angle, well, we didn't receive any damage at all. I did get a little bit too impatient and got a little bit too close and, well, we died once again.
I don't know how to kill this guy.
This time when I came back, I remembered that on the saber-tooth, you can actually use health potions. So this could keep us in the fight, and I didn't have to worry too much about being damaged. This fight led on all the way until day 51. We finally got the perfect angle and just stayed back and patiently just did as much damage as possible, which wasn't actually a lot, but I couldn't really figure out how we're supposed to fight this boss face to face. Either way, we managed to get there in the very end and killed our very first warden, which then summoned in a tameable version, which of course I had to tame. After killing the other warden, we were able to get some blood and stuff, so we're pretty sure we can tame this. There's no giant queen bees that you need to be able to get for the honey for the warden kibble either, so we can just make it. Now we're moving up in the world, and we have one of the coolest looking trikes I've ever seen in any Ark playthrough, any Ark mod ever. This is sick. And you thought we were doing lots of damage before. Now, I know it doesn't really look like we're doing a lot of damage, but you see how those small numbers, well, those small numbers, they add up, because they do such fast tick damage over time. And if anything, and I mean anything, stands on any of these spikes in the ground, well, they melt in seconds. Surely with our warden, we're going to be strong enough to be able to take on another warden, especially one that can barely swim. Now, this normally would be fine unless this happens.
Damn, I knew that was coming.
We spawned back in fine, but the server was still kind of messing up. This was getting a little bit frustrating, and the next time that we logged back in, we were dead. But thankfully our trike was still alive, and that is all that really matters. Day 52, I figured let's go out and tame ourselves a nuclear dino. Why not, right? Like, I mean, we might as well, because I don't know, we just can. And a nuclear rock drake might be pretty damn cool, unless it goes full Hiroshima on our butt. Look, we did manage to tame it in the end. That's all that matters. In the end, I just kind of really wanted one of these nuclear creatures, especially the rock drake, just because it looks so damn epic. It'll make a nice addition to our family back in our base. It's not quite as strong as our warden trike, no, but you know, it's still pretty sweet. Day 53, and we're out just killing lots of things. Basically, what I'm trying to do right now is get a warden to spawn in, since there's none on the map currently. There is spectral wardens, but we're really not ready to fight them just yet. To speed things along, I got my warden trike out to try and kill some more things as well. I then got stuck in these brontos, and then this somehow happened. Thankfully, my trike didn't actually die, and we could simply continue spewing these spikes into the air. A little bit later into the day, and we finally have a warden trike that spawned in. But there was a hellfire gorilla nearby, and I knew I wasn't really going to have a chance to kill it. Oh, don't worry, it's already dead. I think the warden trike killed it. I then went to fly in, and yeah, that happened. I don't know what happened. Oh, crap. Either way, I need to go and try and kill this warden triceratops. I went in to start spewing down these spikes and just attacking like normal. Our trike's health was rapidly declining, even though I was using some potions at the time. And then I died, but I don't really understand why I died so quickly. Yes, we did in fact just lose our trike. From here on out, the mod is kind of super unbalanced, and it kind of gets frustrating. Having a warden trike versus a warden trike and dying so damn quickly, I don't know if that's what it's meant to happen. Like, my vampiric saber-tooth is holding up better than my warden trike. It doesn't really quite make sense. Either way, I'm determined to get through this, and I need to defeat this trike. It does take us a little bit longer to actually defeat this with our vampiric saber-tooth, but it's definitely a bit safer. Well, sometimes. And we do have spare saber-tooths, so in the end, we could get it done. Oh, that second one that just came in, it's the tameable version. And since we lost our other warden trike, well, I'm going to try and tame this one. It did manage to kill us though, and I'm not really that desperate to tame it right now, but the reason why I needed to kill the other warden trike was for this thing right here. What we needed was this thing, warden dino core, so this way I can summon in others in places that I like to fight. Actually, I changed my mind. I want to tame this thing. Might as well. It's here. Now that we could summon in boss creatures, I went to the place earlier that we found because of pineapples and thylacoleo and summoned in this gorilla. From here, I could use our ability and shoot down to it and stay safe until I realized it can just climb up the wall. Get out. Oh, crap. No, worse. I'm stuck in it. Ah, but he can't come through here. Neither can I! Ah, crap! This certainly did not go to plan at all. Yes, get stuck back in there. Don't come out. Damn it, you came out. Bro, I'm taming the hell out of you. You're cool as hell. We remained consistent and just kept doing as much damage as possible, as well as healing up when we needed to. Alright, chill out, chill out, chill out. I don't want to kill your freaking guy. Yeah, buddy. You're dead. Killed that one. The tameable version came in and shot it a few times in the butt and then put it to sleep. Problem is, I didn't have enough resources to be able to make some warden kibble right now. Well, not enough that I could spare. But don't forget this guy, because we do come back to him a little bit later. I then went to go out and find a better place to be able to fight some of these bosses. I then found this area right here, and I think it's gonna work. So this is where we set up to fight this warden Rex that we summoned in. This scary mamma jamma right here. So with that being said, we begin the assault by launching down fireballs up on the safety of this cliff. This fight continues on to the next day, and we're still alive, surprisingly. I couldn't quite get a good angle on it, so I jumped down onto the ground to fight it even further. I don't know if this was a good idea or not. I kind of don't think it was a good idea. I could run around long enough to be able to fight it, but then eventually I died. Since the Warden Rex only had a little bit of health left, I returned on my Warden trike to finish the job. But my PC was having other plans. Once we finally logged back in, well yeah, we were dead. I did return to see that our trike wasn't dead though. Now I just had to try and get it out of there safely. Wait, did you kill it? My trike did in fact kill it, but I think my trike died in the process. Anyways, moving on, poor trike, it's dead, blah 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 blah. We need to kill more wardens. Unfortunately, we don't get to choose where this manticore spawns. And since it flies, I don't think it really matters anyway. We just gotta do our best to try and take it down. This thing's so damn epic though, I really want to tame me one. And to do so, well, we need to kill this one. just like that. And when the tameable version comes in, well, we need to put it to sleep. Thankfully, our vampiric saber-tooth can tank some of the hits while we shoot off the back of it. Then we finally put it to sleep, and all of a sudden, we have tamed the most epic creature in all of this playthrough, in my opinion. It just looks so cool. And now that we have a flying powerhouse, we should be able to dominate any type of battle that we encounter. We even started picking on some prime tribesmen, but to be fair, they started the fight first, but we're gonna end it. And I'm glad we did. These guys dropped some epic loot.
Oh shit.
Day 56, and I need to kill another warden so I can get another warden shard. So with our beast of a manticore, we went to go and take on this warden triceratops. But as I started launching an attack, I was quickly reminded that when you fight certain dinos, you can get grounded. And because the grounding is broken in this mod, we were completely stuck and couldn't even move and run away from all of these attacks. Well, that sucks. Yeah, that battle is not fun. We may have lost our manticore, but we have gained some pretty cool new armor. I forgot to put this on earlier. New drip. Who dis? Look at me. Oh, that lighting's so bad. Oh, crap. And unfortunately, we do still need to try and kill this warden. It's the only one on the map, and I need that warden shard bad. So with our warden trike, we went back on into the fight. But of course, it was never going to be that simple. A grenaded dodo came in as well, started fighting, and then we were damaged by the warden trike. It was just chaos. It still baffles me that our vampiric saber-tooth is the most effective against this. Like, you think our warden trike would be able to hold up against it, but no. Our vampiric saber-tooth, well, it's just better. It doesn't do quite as much damage, but it's just more agile, and it tanks the hits quite nicely, and we can use our potions from our hotbar. So we were able to get this done. And with that shard that we had gained, I could then use it to be able to create the summoner for the Rex. This one was a little bit more terrifying. As we all know, Rexes are pretty damn tough and pretty damn scary. But as long as we just stay on our feet and keep moving around, we can chip away at its health and defeat the Warden Rex. Day 57, we summoned in the Warden Wyvern. Flyers are definitely more terrifying, but we did somewhat get lucky. The Wyvern just kept circling around us and wasn't landing any attacks onto us, and we could just keep launching our AoE attack to deal a bunch of damage until it got bored and went away. And then it did it again, just kept circling us and doing very little damage to us. At one point I started running for my life, but it was almost dead, so it was time to charge back in and start fighting again. Up until the point that we finally defeated it and gained the Warden token that we needed. After defeating the Warden Wyvern, we only have one more thing that we need to kill, and that is the Supreme Warden. But we're missing another Warden Dino Core. There was a Manticore on the map, so we need to go and take that down. As I tried to get close to it though, I accidentally bumped into this Dark God giant queen bee and had no other choice but to fight it. I didn't manage to kill it, but I managed to buy myself enough time and enough distance to be able to start fighting this Warden Manticore. And thanks to the fact that I can actually use the health potions in my hotbar on my saber-tooth, I was able to stay in this fight enough for us to be able to finally kill it and gain the core that we needed. In the meantime, I think I actually killed the queen bee. I didn't realize that I did, but I had the honey in my inventory, so I must have. We're not quite up to the Dark God tier right now, but hey, it's good to have the honey, I guess. We can save it for later. For now, I need to fight the Supreme Warden. And at our little boss fighting arena, I placed down this awesome teleporter so we can come back here whenever we need. We named it the Boss Crater because it kind of suits, I guess. And then we summoned in this skeletal boss. It has 1.6 billion health. This is going to be tough. Hopefully this crater and this cliff keeps us somewhat safe and we can actually do some damage and not die ourselves. I don't know. And for the most part, this was working until I accidentally hit this Dark God rock golem and it wanted me dead. Not only do I have to fight this Supreme Warden, but I also have to deal with a Dark God as well. As long as it stays down in the crater, we should be fine, right? Right? Oh, I can see it walking around. This is not good. Turns out I think this Dark God's a lot smarter than the Supreme Warden. Returned back and started doing damage. It's what we do. And my boy, this guy hurts a lot. But as we kept dropping our big bombs on it, the tick damage just ramped up and when it exponentially just did more damage. This was so far doing pretty damn well. With almost 250 million health remaining, yeah, we were on the home stretch right now, bro. Bro, just give me a sec and you'll die. Just give me a moment and you'll be dead. Right about now. Since we had just killed the Supreme Warden, I was feeling quite confident to take on this Dark God Rock Elemental as well. Drop some health potions to keep us in the fight long enough to be able to kill it. And we did. Day 58, and we're up to the very next tier of dinos. And if you're wondering what exactly that tier is, well, it's the Hellfire tier. In this tier, we do need to get our hands on some giant queen bee honey, which we got pretty easily. Now we can make some Hellfire kibble. Psych, we can't. We're missing some resources. Specifically, some Hellfire shard dust, which we need to get from killing Hellfires, obviously. I thought we may have actually done it earlier, but we just haven't. And this Ravager was our very first victim. With the crystal shard that we got, we were then able to make some essence, which we could then turn into Hellfire Kibble. With said kibble, we then went out into the wild so we could go and tame ourselves our very own Hellfire Giant Queen Bee. And unfortunately for us, there was a Dark God Giant Queen Bee right next to it, and it wasn't happy to see me. But this will definitely not prevent me from taming this Queen Bee. After all, we need to get this done. We need to move up in this world. Don't worry guys, we did manage to tame this Hellfire Giant Queen Bee.
Bro, look at this bee. It's got horns. It's a horny bee.
I then did a quick stock up on trank bullets. We could now make Hellfire ones since we had a little bit of blood. And our very first tame for the Hellfire tier, I figured would be the Hellfire Ravager. This was a pretty straightforward tame. We had a cliff that kept us safe. So just like that, we had our very first Hellfire creature.
Welcome home, buddy. You creepy ass looking mofo. God damn, you scary.
But as I brought it home, we discovered a rather damaging issue. Because we don't have aberration connected to this map or anything, I can't unlock the saddle for it. So the only thing that this Ravager is good for is its hide and blood. I guess we're just gonna have to go out and tame a Hellfire Rex. In Ark, you can't really go wrong with taming Rexes. They're always good for a lot of things. This Hellfire Rex, well, it moved around quite a lot, so trying to find a right and safe angle for us to be able to shoot at it without dying, yeah, that was starting to be a little bit tricky. Thankfully, our new bullets, well, they did do a ton of torpor, so we were able to put it to sleep. Then we were able to tame it. Only thing is, we weren't alone here.
Oh my freaking God, bro.
And when I returned, our brand new Hellfire Rex, well, it was in a rage. Yeah, those explosions were my Hellfires, nothing else. I think my guy here was having a little bit too much fun. We're gonna put him away for now. Turns out it was one of these freaking Grenada Dodicks. Now, before doing anything else, we had to go and kill another Hellfire Ravager. I needed more of those Hellfire shards. Because of course, I'm not doing anything until we can get a breeding pair of my Hellfire Rexes. And these Hellfire Trank bullets are really damn good, so we need to stock up on blood as well. Once we had everything prepared, we then went out to go and tame another Hellfire Rex. This one was pretty straightforward and simple, so you guys already know how this goes. We tamed this breedable female and began the breeding process. And on day 60, we now have our very own Hellfire Rex fully grown up. Whacked the saddle on its back and went out to go and test it out. Holy shit. What the f is that damage? What is that damage? Yeah, we have entered a whole new world. Even the Hellfire ability was absolutely OP. We were just having way too much fun hunting down creatures and killing them. Of course, I might as well hunt and kill something that's a little bit useful to us, like other Hellfires. But we can't get too carried away. We do need to progress through this mod. That's the goal after all. And we have enough resources to be able to craft the Hellfire boss summon, so we might as well go and do that. With a couple spare Hellfire Rexes that we had, I summoned him in over at the Great Lake. And this creepy demonic monkey, well, that was the boss that we needed to face. 1.9 billion health. I sent in my Rexes that were just chilling. Then I stayed back to launch some attacks, but my Rexes that went in, well, they're already dead. We did manage to do quite a bit of damage already. And then I just kept laying down some pressure, healing our Rex up from its inventory, not from my hotbar, unfortunately. And then, well, just like that, well, we won. We defeated this boss. The boss did leave behind a bit of explosions though. Yeah, this was summoned in from the boss and well, it's not going away at all. Surprisingly, that fight was rather easy, but this is where all the easiness stops. I'll explain why a little bit later, but for now, this is the Hellfire Factory and we're making Hellfire Herbs. Why? So we can eventually make some Dark God kibble. And by now, I'm pretty sure you guys know how this works. We need to kill a Dark God creature so that we can get some Dark God shards and some blood. The Dark God creatures are pretty damn tough. Like fighting this Dark God Broodmother, maybe we should have found a little bit easier of a creature. Like that thing melted us. We died. Twice. Like this was so much harder. I couldn't even open my inventory fast enough and feed it a health potion. Our health melted way quicker than it should have. This time I tried a little bit of a different strategy. I'm going to stand back as far as possible and just try and shoot from here and hope that it doesn't come over and destroy me quickly. It might have been distracted or it didn't want to cross the water or whatever, but either way, we managed to get it done and could harvest all the blood and hide that we needed. Day 61, we went to go take on this Dark God Griffin. With our Hellfire Rex's AoE abilities, we were able to get it down to the ground and deal a bunch of damage. The tick damage over time was actually quite effective, up until the point that the Griffin just got bored and flew away. I tried my best to chase it down, but ultimately we couldn't really keep up. We're on the ground after all. Instead, I decided to fight this rock golem. At least this thing shouldn't be able to fly away. I hope. We managed to handle our business and get this thing down, then use our pickaxe to be able to gather some hide and some blood. Where does the hide come from? I don't know, and I kind of don't want to find out. Next, we went to go tame our very own Dark God Giant Queen Bee. Now, if you remember, earlier we got some honey already, so we don't have to worry about that part. We can just get straight into taming them. It got knocked out above the water and was just floating there, but we couldn't access this inventory. That's when I had to get a little bit creative. I got my Rex out, jumped on its back, and then I could just walk on over to it. This worked perfectly fine, and we were able to get our very own Dark God Giant Queen Bee, which we could also ride. This was a little bit quirky and a little bit dorky, but it was pretty cool. And somewhat surprisingly, it's actually very, very damn strong. Like 7.2 million damage just for biting. That's pretty damn crazy. It's not crazier than most of the other creatures, but it's still crazy for a bee. Anyways, moving on, we should probably tame a Dark God. Yeah, for ourselves. This Rock Golem just seemed like a good idea. Rock Golems are great for a lot of reasons, especially boss fights since they have really good defense. And since we're in the desert, we can run away easy and escape, not get hit by those explosions. Rock Golem secured. He's our best friend now. Say hello to our Rock Golem. So of course, on day 62, we took our brand new Rock Golem out to have some fun. And yeah, that prime defense unit really didn't like the presence of my Rock Golem. I felt like the snow biome would be the perfect place to really test out its power. And yeah, doing 1.1 million damage per hit to a mass amount of dinos all in one single attack. My guy is an absolute powerhouse. Now, I wanted to evolve my Rock Golem into a corrupted Rock Golem. But first, to be able to do exactly that, well, I needed to kill a corrupted Dark God Rock Golem. We found one on the map, came in, started attacking, and initially we did a bunch of damage, but our damage dealing slowed down a little bit, but ultimately we got this done. It was pretty simple, really. So upon killing the corrupted Dark God Golem, we got a bunch of loot, which included this ascended Dark God Broodmother saddle, a bunch of health potions, some tranquilizer darts, and other stuff. But most importantly, we got the Dark God Golem Soul and a Dark God Core, which are important ingredients for us to be able to transform this Dark God Golem into the corrupted version. But there's one final missing piece that we need to get, and this is where things get a little bit difficult. We need to kill the big bad boss, the Dark God King, so we can get his token, and then we can use that to get a corrupted Dark God. We summoned it in, started fighting it, and within moments, we died. Our healing potion was working, but it wasn't working effectively enough at all. This really sucked, and I don't know why it was so easy for us to die. But we can't give up yet. We need to go out and tame another Dark God creature so we can try and continue this journey. I opted to tame this Dark God Rex. Rexes are always good fighting boss animals, and this one was on the map. There's not a lot of choices for Dark Gods often, but this one was there, so of course we had to try and get it. Plus, I figured it wouldn't hurt getting a breeding pair of these. But I have to wait until another one spawns in the map. For now, let's get this Dark God Reaper. Judging by that last boss fight, I'm kind of assuming that we're going to get a lot of deaths, so it's probably good and handy to have a few different options about. Day 63, I had the bright idea to try and use our Reaper to take on this Dark God King. Since it has a pretty decent ranged attack, I figured I'd just stay at a distance and shoot at the boss. But this game would have other plans. You see, I was stuck in place and couldn't make any more distance away from this boss, so we were stuck in place just eating fistfuls of this monkey's attack. We did manage to keep ourselves alive long enough to be able to do a little bit of damage, but obviously because I couldn't use our health potions from my hotbar and had to transfer it to the inventory, we ran out of time to be able to do that and we died. I am going to preface, from here on out, I feel like the mod isn't quite ready to be played. The early to mid game, it's fine, but the end game is very cooked. And because of the amount of damage that gets dealt to us, not being able to use our health potions from our hotbar low-key sucks. I returned back on our Dark God Rex, and I found the perfect spot to be able to deal damage and not get hit. This really started to work in our favor. Yes, it's massively cheesy, but I don't really have any other options right now. But this did take a very long time. Sitting there spamming the attack for a while, and we finally defeated the Dark God King. It only cost us like 3 really hard to tame dinos. Now that we killed the Dark God King, we need to start moving a little bit forward. But first I want to tame another Dark God, but we also need a Dark God Core, so I need to kill this Reaper quickly. I didn't want to risk losing my Dark God Rex, so we just used our Hellfire Rex. It worked out fine in the end, and now we can go and tame the target species of creature. I wanted to tame me a Dark God Griffin. We got kind of lucky because it's so large and so big, it kept circling around us, and it couldn't actually like shoot at us because it couldn't lock onto us. Never in my life would have I thought that being a small target was going to be this convenient. And surprisingly, this tame was actually quite simple. So with that, we went out and tamed ourselves a second one. Again, really straightforward because the AI in these is really stupid. And then we could start breeding them together. Day 65 and we had a baby Dark God Griffin fully grown up. Now I know that this is going to be pretty powerful, but there is one sort of issue. There's no saddle for it, so we don't really get any decent damage protection. So I'm kind of unsure whether this would be a decent boss fighter, but it'll still be good for other reasons, I'm sure. Like a flying damage dealer is always a good thing. I also figured I'd try and turn this into a corrupted Dark Dark God Griffin. So of course I need to get myself a corrupted Dark God Griffin soul, which is why we're bullying this corrupted Dark God Griffin. But for some reason they're kind of bugged and it doesn't fight back. It just flies in the one spot and we can kill it easily.
Bugs never work in my favor. Let's go.
Then, with all of the required ingredients, we can place it inside of our Dark God Griffin and then just evolve it from there. Now we have our own corrupted Dark God Griffin. Not gonna lie, this is pretty epic looking. But how much of an upgrade is this really? Its health has definitely jumped up quite a lot, and we most certainly deal a ton more damage. So with this, I went out to go hunt down some corrupted Dark God creatures like this Rex right here. And I was feeling so damn confident with our big increase in power that I decided we're gonna fight the very next boss, which is the corrupted Dark God King. Before starting the fight, I made my Griffin swallow a health potion and then get the attention of this boss. The boss approached us and couldn't quite reach us, so we could just kind of stay back and attack. Unfortunately, it has damage protection and we're not doing a ton of damage really. Like sure, 1 million damage per hit is a lot, but when it has 582 billion health, we know we're going to be here a while. The only way for me to do more damage is to be able to strike it with our normal strike. Our AoE attack doesn't really do enough damage, but then I have to get close enough that it can actually damage me. And of course, this becomes our downfall. Even with one of the best health potions swallowed, 2 of them in fact, we can't stay alive long enough to be able to fight it. I don't know what the intended mechanic is here. Like, it doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. Either way, the very next day, we returned back to the boss and continued fighting on just our normal Dark God Griffin. We have lots of backups of this, and yes, we did lose our corrupted Dark God Griffin, but hey, it is what it is. Kind of weird though, but we're doing the same amount of damage that we were doing with our corrupted Dark God Griffin. But then yes, our server had a dino wipe happen at this exact moment, so it disappeared. We currently didn't have all the required resources to be able to summon in another boss, but it wasn't going to take us much to be able to get our hands on it. We just needed to kill some more of these corrupted creatures. I really did like the Reaper last time, so I wanted to try and get my hands on another one. I don't really feel like the Griffin's super effective. My goal was to get a corrupted Reaper, which is why we're fighting the Dark God King again. I need the Dark God King token to be able to evolve our Reaper. We were fighting away, not doing a lot of damage, and then we died. Yay. I didn't even know what happened really. Day 67 and I was live streaming on Twitch at this point, and one of the viewers wanted to name my dung beetle. Bring back a good old-fashioned name called Pooperman. I then also added the Crazy Potions mod. The potions that come in the standard Supreme mod just aren't really cutting it for us right now, and I kind of figured that these might help us along the way. So with a bunch of them put in my hotbar, I went in to fight the Dark God King boss again. These potions were not effective very much at all. We just get damaged way too fast for the health potions to actually be beneficial for us. It's at this point right now that we're just losing all hope. I even tried flying above it because even if you get grounded, you can press spacebar and you'll stay in the air at least. Now this does work, but you do kind of slowly hover downwards and ultimately you die. Day 68, we returned back to the beast of the boss. And I figured I'd try out a little bit of a different strategy. Our Hellfire Rex. You see, it could do damage from a further distance. Even though it's a lot less, at least this way we can kind of stay in the fight a bit longer. It's not super strong, but it can't hit me. This is really the only option that we have right now. It's kind of pathetic, but we're just trying our best. It was just too painfully slow though, so we switched back to the Dark God Griffin, but we did find the best spot. Thing is, this thing was going so slow. It had been like 15 minutes IRL, and this is all the amount of damage that we've done so far. I can't stand this. So this is where I figured I need to get a breeding Rex. Yeah, I thought we did it a little bit earlier. We actually didn't get a breeding pair just yet, so we went out to go tame another one. A male. We need a male. This way we could get a bunch of Rexes and they could actually stand in the fight against the Dark God bosses. So before we could get back to fighting the boss, well, we need to breed up some of these Rexes. Hopefully this will work. Look, I got kind of bored waiting for a baby to hatch, and I figured we might as well like try and fight it. We have spare Griffins anyway, so whatever. We'll do some sort of damage at least. It's a slow grind, but we're trying our best. It was about time for one of our Rexes to be fully grown up, so we just went into charge and try and do as much damage as possible, only for us to die, which was kind of expected. We then returned on another Griffin, but also with the Dark God Rex, which I don't know what to expect. Is it going to be strong? Is it going to be weak? I don't know. Like, well, I don't know. We're just going to hope for the best. We shot off our attack. It does have some pretty decent range by the looks of it. Took a while and then it finally hit. And yes, it's decent, I guess. Not like amazingly decent compared to the Griffin, but it's better. But we had the perfect angle, so I basically just sat here and kept clicking and clicking and clicking. But ultimately, I wanted to see how much damage our bite would do. I raced on in, and then I didn't get a bite off because I tried to heal ourselves and give him a health potion, and it didn't work. Day 70, I returned on our Dark God Griffin because we didn't have a baby Rex growing up just yet, but I did come with some backup. The real Thylacoleo came in with his corrupted Dark God Golem, and together we were able to get its health down quite a bit. So much so, we were able to defeat it. Bang. DED dead. Thank you, Thylacoleo, for your assistance. Finally, after the most painful experience trying to kill this boss, we were able to defeat it. I then wanted to go and try and test something out. But first I needed to tame myself 2 Dark God Reapers, which we managed to do without too much trouble. Now, Reapers typically are not breedable, but we have the Crazy Potions mod, so I figured maybe we could force them to be breedable with this mod and some of the potions. Quick spoiler, it didn't work. Didn't work at all. Day 71, I discovered I could actually summon in corrupted Dark Gods. So I summoned in this corrupted Dark God Rex, obviously so I could kill it, get its soul, and then get myself a corrupted Dark God Rex. Evolution time. 1.4 billion goes to 7 billion. Yeah, I wanted to track how much health we gained from evolving it. Look at him though, look at him. You purple monster man. I went out to go and test this Rex's power to see how much better it was. And its bite is surely ferocious. Now with this kind of power, I was surely a little bit more confident that we could take on some more bosses. Specifically the corrupted Dark God boss. Got myself in a safe location, stood right back, and just kept launching our attack into the sky. And honestly, this attack wasn't as powerful as I kind of expected, but hey, I guess we're staying safe. I was also here fighting alongside the real Thylacoleo, and he was charging in with his corrupted rock elemental. This grind was just taking way too long, and I knew that my bite was going to be a lot more powerful. So I inched my way in to get a little bit closer so I could bite down on him and do more damage. I saw that Thylacoleo was lasting while he was in there fighting, so I tried to get closer, but then somehow we got jumped by a spectral manticore and it destroyed us both. No! What? This was absolutely devastating. We returned on day 72 to continue this fight. After all, we need to get this done. It's significantly slower on our griffins, but it's kind of all we have. Oh, and yeah, guess what? We had an automatic dino wipe happen. So yeah, we just spent like half an hour trying to defeat this boss only for it to just poof out of the air. Again, this sucks. But I have no other option. I actually have to defeat this boss so I can move forward. So I'm back out in the wilds just collecting all the resources again so I could craft up another summoning scroll. We had most of the stuff back at base except like a couple souls. So we were able to summon another one in again. Unfortunately for me though, Thylacoleo had to leave, so I'm just kind of fighting this solo with just a Dark God Griffin. And this is a grind, it's taking us quite a while, and yeah, you see that? That's a spectral wyvern, and it doesn't like me fighting. It was a pain in the butt, I hate it. Like, why did you come here, bro? When I returned, the spectral wyvern had disappeared. It's gone for now. So we could continue this battle. But this time I just kind of stayed at a safe distance and just waited. Kept clicking and fighting this boss and it just took a long time. Continued on to the very next day again. Then some of the homies came by to help out and we could finally defeat this boss. Now, I needed to defeat the corrupted Dark God boss so that I could get my very own Spectral Warden. Now, to get a Spectral Warden, well, I need a normal Warden. And if you remember, well, we kind of lost all the ones that we got previously. They are all dead. But there is one still in the wild that's still knocked out. Remember this guy right here, the Warden Gorilla? Yeah, he's still asleep from when we knocked him out from ages ago. So I just fed him some kibble and we acquired him. But before I headed back to base, the boys needed some help with their boss fight. They were currently fighting a Spectral Warden Triceratops. And I need to fight this anyway, so I decided I'd help out and join in. But we soon learned that it is damn strong, especially when it lands an attack on us. This proved to be a bit harder than we expected. Even with 3 of us here flying in the air, well, yeah, it was pretty damn tough. And it was absolute chaos. There was just explosions everywhere. But in the end, we managed to beat it, and we managed to score some new loot that we've never seen before. A Spectral Core, a Trike Soul, and a Trike Token, which is what we need to be able to get our very own Spectral Warden. I decided I wanted to get my hands on a Warden Rex. It's not like we can evolve it into a Spectral just yet, but hey, there was one on the map, so I figured we'd try and go and get our hands on one. Our Dark God Griffin didn't have any issues taking it down, so we could summon in the tameable version, and our extremely high tier Tranks, well, it put it to sleep rather quickly. We didn't actually tame this Warden Rex until day 75, as we didn't currently have the kibble on us. I must have left it back at base. I don't remember what happened. But it's not exactly like we're in a rush or anything to be able to turn it into a Spectral, because we don't even have the means to do it just yet. We actually need to kill the Spectral counterpart, and surprisingly, well, this one that we're summoning in right now is not the Rex. It's the Gorilla. might as well try and get one of these. We have everything we need to be able to, make one, but we need to kill this one first. You guys know how it works. I needed to make sure I could stay far enough away from its big AoE attack because it can launch a massive attack and it will probably hit us. But from the angle that we were currently at, we weren't really doing too much damage. But that's when the boys came in to help out. Since I helped them with their spectral trike, they managed to get themselves some more trikes. And yeah, they absolutely melted this gorilla's health. And then we had everything we needed to be able to turn this warden gorilla into a spectral warden gorilla. And of course, we gave it the most appropriate name, Mega Harambe. And although I'm very excited to have our very own Mega Harambe, I couldn't get up to mount him. He was too damn tall. I couldn't reach. It took us a while to figure this out. There was no angle we could find to actually ride it. So with my glider suit, I kind of used it to fly up to it, and that worked. Let's take a moment to appreciate this absolute beast. But looking good is one thing. In this kind of mod, you want to know if it's powerful enough to actually matter. And while launching our massive AoE attack, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's safe to say this thing is an absolute powerhouse. The spectral tier is basically the final tier of creatures that you can tame in this mod currently, which means it's safe to say that yes, we are the apex predator in this game. But with the weird mechanics of this mod and things dying way too quickly and easily, I didn't want to risk anything. So whilst I was fighting the spectral warden Rex, I wanted to keep my distance, and it worked out in our favor. We managed to melt it quickly. We need to defeat every single spectral warden creature in this mod, and every land creature is pretty straightforward and easy, but the flying ones, well, they're scary. I needed to fight the spectral warden manticore, but I didn't want to risk losing my Harambe already because I just wasn't sure what was going to happen, so I wanted to see if I could do enough damage against it with just my Dark God Griffin. And with some swift maneuvers, we were able to escape some of its hits. I could heal up just in time to stay in the fight, but if it dropped its big attack, well, it melted us before we could even say hello. I have no plans to give up on this though, because we really need to kill it so we can move on. It's just proving to be way harder than I had hoped. I kept at it though, dying over and over again. Got to the point that I had to try and risk it for the biscuit, get my Mega Harambe out and get into this fight. I'm not gonna lie, I was quite nervous for this one. I made sure to drop some health potions when we straight got into it, got the attention of this manticore and just tried my best to do some damage. I went to try and use the health potions from my hotbar, and guess what? They don't work.
See, that's bullshit.
Harambe had no hope staying in that fight, and it was absolutely crazy that it got melted so quickly. There was something really wrong with this, and I don't know if it really makes any sense. All I could really do is try my best to fight with my Dark God Griffins, which in this case got grounded. How the hell did it get grounded from another flying dino? I have no idea. That's not supposed to be able to happen. I'm starting to run a little bit low on my Dark God Griffins, so I brought out my Dark God Rex. I don't really know what I was thinking or what I was expecting, because of course this was going to happen. It got to the point that I think I need a warden so I can do damage. If you do notice from before, we actually did a lot of damage with our Harambe. It just didn't survive very long. I'm going to need a warden anyway, so I decided to try and get myself a warden Triceratops, since we're already kind of prepared to be able to get a spectral version. Thankfully, the process of getting wardens is actually quite simple now. Unlike fighting the spectral wardens, that just sucks. Taking a slight break from the constant death cycles, we went out to go hunt down some corrupted bosses. I needed to stock up on their souls as we need them to be able to make more spectral dinos. And there was a couple of these corrupted Dark God broodmothers in the swamp, so we just targeted them, as well as the broken griffins that don't fight back. This is the definition of bullying, but hey, they're just pixels on a screen. They don't have no feelings. And then the final ingredient so we can get ourselves another spectral dino. Yeah, it's the corrupted Dark God boss soul. You guys already know how this is gonna go. We're just gonna stay here from a distance, shooting out our fireballs. This is a boring as hell fight, and it takes a really damn long time. And for some reason, the Manticore found us and killed us. Yay, I love this game. This game's so great. It wasn't until day 79 that we actually defeated this boss. That's crazy how long this took us. My hand hurts after that one. Day 80, we took on the Manticore once again, but this time I kind of worked things out a little bit. If I just keep circling around it and just trying to dodge its major attack, then we could kind of survive long enough to do more damage. We ticked away at it and managed to do quite a bit, but eventually we lost our lives. No surprise here. Anyways, I then went ahead and turned our Warden Triceratops into the Spectral Warden Triceratops, who we decided to name Wesley. And knowing that I finally had a powerful dino, instead of trying to fight a Spectral, I decided I'm going to fight a corrupted Dark God again. Knowing that I had the chops to be able to actually deal a ton of damage, I wanted to stock up on the corrupted Dark God boss souls. And of course, just my luck, as we finally defeated the corrupted Dark God, the stupid Manticore came in to fight us. And I don't know how this happened, but we got stupid lucky and we actually killed the Manticore as well. Did I kill him?
Oh my god, I think I killed him. Oh my god, I think I killed the freaking manticore. Oh my god, I killed the manticore.
Well, I thought I defeated the corrupted Dark God boss. I didn't, but we went too far away from defeating it. It didn't take much with our Triceratops. This trike was an absolute weapon, and it dealt a ton of damage. So much so, I figured I'd try and Paragon it a little bit. Why not, right? I also wanted to give myself the best opportunity possible to be able to fight more spectral dinos, but also before risking its life even further, I wanted to kill this Spectral Warden Rex, which we needed to kill anyway, as I wanted to be able to turn my current Rex into a Spectral Warden as well. And after we killed that Rex, I went back out to kill on the Triceratops, which we managed to Paragon. Yay us. I did notice though that the Paragon level actually did increase our stats quite a bit. So that's why the very next day I went back out on the trike and got it up to Paragon level 3, where I was starting to feel real confident enough that we summoned in the Spectral Wyvern. Dropped a bunch of potions to make sure we stayed long enough in this fight, shot off our big attacks, did a ton of damage to the Wyvern, but then we died. This didn't make any sense to us, and it completely sucked. When I returned back to our dead carcass, I also noticed that the Wyvern was dead also. Yes, we may have lost our trike, but we also defeated the final Spectral Warden that we needed to kill, the Wyvern. So I kind of forgot to press the record button, and we missed some killing of some other Spectral Wardens, but now we are up to fighting the Juggernaut. So I summoned this beast in, took a good look at this terrifying kaiju, got out our Spectral Rex that I forgot to record us making, and we named him Roger, then started laying down some hellfire on its ass. We were doing quite a bit of damage. And then we found out that the Juggernaut can just walk through the mountain. Yeah, it is magic.
Dog, we are so dead. How did he just glitch through the freaking floor?
I was trying my best to avoid it, trying to keep my distance as best as possible, and we were doing quite a bit of damage. Its AI looked like it was kind of bugging out a little bit. It didn't seem to be attacking us at all. So I used this to my advantage and just kept laying down these big yellow balls. It would eventually catch up to us as it did move around. It just wasn't super fast, but I wasn't prepared for it to actually try and lay down some hits on me, and I just didn't want to try and get hit. As janky as it looks right now, this was kind of broken and kind of weird, but I was just trying to do my best to stay alive.
I can't see nothing, but I think I'm doing lots of damage. Ooh, I think I'm about to win.
So yeah, that happened. We died in the process of killing the Juggernaut, which I do think we actually killed it. We died, it died. We're just going to call it a draw. It is what it is. This mod was a lot of fun to play at the beginning. At the end, it got a little bit cooked. I don't know if I'm a fan. Hopefully, they fix a lot of issues. Shout out to all of my Patreon members, Twitch subscribers, and YouTube members. Thank you so much for all your support. Until next time, peace.